Parties in the matter of Terry versus Barnes. Step forward, please.
General contractor Stephen Terry is suing his neighbor, 24-year-old restaurant manager Roger Barnes, for throwing a rock through the front window of his house. Roger says Stephen's brother was antagonizing him.
Mr. Terry, Mr. Barnes is your neighbor. It's your claim that on a particular date, which you'll tell me in a moment, he came to your house, he was drunk, he took a rock, he threw it through your window, you wanted to pay for the window. Mr. Barnes says it wasn't a rock that broke your window, it was his jacket that broke your window and its heavy buttons, so he's not paying for your window, right?
Right.
Uh-huh. What date did he break your window?
It was St. Patrick's Day this year.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Are you Irish?
Nope.
But you celebrate with the Irish?
Yeah.
Were you celebrating on St. Patrick's Day?
Yes.
Were you a little drunk?
A little bit.
Okay. So your jacket broke the window?
Yeah.
No, not yeah. Yes was good. Yes was good before. Yes, so you should stick to yes.
Yes.
Tell me how it came about that your jacket broke the window.
Well, actually, I was at my house with my brother here. He's a witness.
Just get to the window, will you please?
All right, well, we got an argument.
I'm interested in the jacket. How the jacket, which was on your body initially, left your body, according to you, caused the breaking of Mr. Terry's window.
Well, I was outside, and we were in a big argument. And
Who was in an argument?
His brother and this guy named Eric. And basically, I thought I was going to have to defend myself against these two guys, and I ripped it off and flung it to the side, and as I did, it broke their window.
Well, show me how high the window was, sir.
It's about, at the bottom of the window.
Well, when you say you flung your jacket, you indicated you flung the jacket to the ground.
Like this. Over that way.
Now, show me how you do that, sir. Show me how you get up high enough to hit the window.
Yeah,
Don't hit Mr. Terry again.
Sorry. You could feel it. It's a pretty heavy jacket.
So it was the jacket that broke the window. Yeah. So it's not your fault.
Well, if they wouldn't have been antagonizing me outside, it would have never happened. I was trying to leave and go back to my house. You know, we were in a big argument.
Let me ask you this question. Was Mr. Terry there?
Mr. Terry was there, but
was he antagonizing you?
No, Stephen wasn't.
And who has to pay for his window?
Well, I don't think I should.
Well, who should be? Bird should pay for his window?
No.
Maybe I should pay for his window.
No.
Maybe this camera person should pay for his window.
No.
What do you think? No? Who should pay for his window?
If they weren't antagonizing the situation...
I'm asking you who should pay for the window.
I think they should pay for it.
Who's they?
Stephen and Ryan.
But he wasn't responsible in any way, sir.
I know.
It's not his jacket. Did you get beat up that day?
Nope.
So maybe you were wrong about them trying to antagonize you. You think it's possible that the libation that you consumed on St. Patrick's Day impaired your judgment? Is that a possibility, Mr. Barnes?
Well, they just set me off.
Is that a possibility that the libation that you consumed on St. Patrick's Day impaired your judgment, sir?
Probably had a little bit to do with it, but not much.
All right. I'm not going to torture you much more, sir. This is my daily exercise. It's my breathing exercise for the day. You understand that? Do you think that the fact that you were drinking had more to do with the fact that the window got broken than Mr. Terry?
Well, I mean, if his brother wasn't outside...
Not his brother.
Okay.
He's not right. I'm not my brother's keeper. I'm talking about Mr. Terry.
Okay, no.
So that your drinking had more to do with the window than Mr. Terry's...
Than Stephen did, yeah.
So this is what I suggest you do, sir. How much was the window?
I have a bill for everything. I'm a contractor. I fixed it myself. So
good. How much was it?
$500.
What?
It's an old window. It broke both the panes, and they're old windows.
You're only suing for $325, sir, so don't tell me that you paid $500 to have the window fixed.
I didn't pay for it. That's how much I would charge to do it myself, but that's okay.
How much did you pay for it?
It's for the glass and the materials.
Yeah.
$100.
$100. And you are a contractor, so you bill for your time. Is that right? And how much do you get paid for an hour?
$55.
$55 an hour. How many hours did it take you?
7.
Suing for $325. That's very reasonable for a window. Now, this is what I'm going to tell you, Mr. Barnes. I want you to listen to me very carefully, because you're not clouded by libation now, are you? If you believe that it's somebody else's fault that your jacket that was on your back broke Mr. Terry's window, I suggest that after you pay Mr. Terry $325, you sue those people that you think are responsible. Is that fair?
Sounds fair to me.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $325. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I thought it was short and sweet.
It's totally unfair. They didn't hear my side of the story at all.
I gave him plenty of opportunity to take care of it himself, and he failed to do so.
I screamed at him, "Get out of my house."
Basically, I was trying to leave the house.
Things started getting out of control.
I ripped my jacket off, flung it to the side, broke their window. It was cheap, old.
I was out on the porch. He was drinking several beers.
I just lost it.
Words being slurred in such a manner, and stumbling and inexplicable violence.
They made some smart remarks about my dead father, which set me off in the first place.
He has a tendency to get a little bit violent when he drinks.
I just think he was pretty much didn't know what he was doing. Had that to the point of blacking out.
Booze and that stuff really doesn't mix.
Year-old Mackenzie Hammond and her mother, Janita Bowden, are suing 12-year-old Brett Williams and his mother, Deborah Duncan. Mackenzie claims Brett punched her in the face, breaking her glasses.
This is case number 558 on the calendar in the matter of Bowden versus Duncan. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Your name is Mackenzie, is that right?
Yes.
What's your name?
Brett.
Brett. All right. Your lawsuit says that this young man punched your daughter and broke her glasses.
Yes.
Brett says your daughter started it, right, Brett? How old are you, Brett?
12.
Who was this?
Jason.
Jason was with you when this happened?
Yes.
But your mother wasn't with you, is that right?
No.
So your mother's going to sit down. Tell me how her glasses got broken.
They didn't break. Just the lens got scratched.
If lens gets scratched, you can't wear them. Tell me what happened.
Well, it started at the soccer field.
Do you remember the date?
No, I don't remember.
Well, you remember what month it was in?
January?
Is that right?
January 29th.
January. Go ahead.
We were at the soccer field.
Who's we?
Me and Jason. And she kicked a ball, and it was coming towards me, and she wasn't anywhere near it yet. And so I kicked it back, and she came over and shoved me.
How did she shove you?
She went up like that, up to my shoulder.
She shoved you on your shoulder?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did you say anything to her?
No, I told her not to do it again, or I was going to tell the manager.
Where was this? Where were you playing?
Sluggers.
What?
Sluggers.
I don't know what Sluggers is.
It's sports center.
Indoors?
Yeah. Yes.
Better. So she kicked the ball, you kicked it away, she came over and she shoved you on your shoulder.
Yes.
What happened then?
Well, then we left, and then...
Where did you go?
We went to the basketball court.
Is that also indoors?
Yeah. Then she and... What?
Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Afterwards, she and Mackenzie got them two over there, and they were following, and then she came...
They were following who?
Me and Jason.
They were following the two of you?
Yeah.
Why do you think that they were following the two of you?
I don't know.
You think that these two people were picking on you?
I don't know. They weren't saying anything to us.
They were just following you?
Yeah, they didn't say nothing.
Okay. And what happened next?
Well, she came up and kicked me between the legs.
Just a second. Stand up, Jason. Move over to him. No, now move back over there. Show me how she kicked you between your legs.
She came up and went like that. When I was
So it
walking
hit you on the back of your knee?
No, right
Where?
in the private area.
She kicked you in your private area. She must be a rocket. You can sit down now. And then what happened?
Then after that, I kept walking, and then she grabbed my hoodie from the behind like this, and she started punching me up here in the spinal cord, and then I turned around and punched her.
Now, where were these two people when she came up to you and kicked you?
They left before she kicked me, and they went to a car or something, and then there's these other kids, Rance and Easton, that were egging them on.
Egging who on?
Them two.
Egging them on? How were they egging them on?
They were provoking them while they were in the car.
Well, how were they Tell me how they were provoking them.
They were saying that they can't do nothing about what was going on, that they aren't going to do nothing, and they were flipping them off.
Did you know Mackenzie from before that day?
No.
So you still haven't explained to me why you punched her.
She hit me first, and I was self-defending myself.
Because she was grabbing hold of your hoodie?
Yeah, and then she started punching me.
Did it hurt you? Really? After you punched her, what did you do?
She knocked her glasses off and ran off, and then I picked him up and sat him on the counter, and afterwards I went behind the counter with the worker because he said he wouldn't let the lady do anything.
Which lady?
Her.
You mean she came back looking for you?
Yeah.
And the person who worked at the sports center took you behind the counter?
Yeah.
Because they were afraid that this lady was going to beat you up?
They were afraid that she was going to do something, and they were afraid.
So they
that
took you behind the counter?
Yes.
And then what happened? Brett?
Then after that, she came back in with their daughter, and they got their glasses, and she started yelling at us, and Rance and Easton were smart-aleking again, and then she was chewing them out, and then she told me to call my mom, and I did, and she talked to my mom about what happened, and then afterwards she hung up and left after my mom told her that she was going to be there to talk to her, and she left. And then afterwards we looked for her, and then we couldn't find her, and then we left.
Have you been back to the sports center?
Since? No.
Why not?
Because the guy said not to come back for a while.
Right. And why do you think the guy told you not to come back, Brett?
So I don't cause any more problems.
That sounds right. And did they also tell your friend Jason not to come back?
No.
Just you?
Me and Rance and Easton.
So the three of you were told don't bother to come back?
Yeah, but since Rance and Easton were on the baseball team, they get to come back.
But not you?
Not me.
Think that's unfair?
No.
You think that you behaved badly that day?
Yes.
Good. You did. You think your friends were sort of troublemakers?
Yes.
How old are they?
Easton, I don't know, and Rance, I think he's 13.
You're 12. So you're the youngest. You like to hang around with guys who are a little bit older?
Yes.
Okay, who are you?
I'm her sister.
Okay, so you want to tell me what you saw that day?
I was sitting by my mother watching my younger sister Cody playing her soccer game at Sluggers. And Mackenzie came up, and I believe it was the second time she had come up, and she asked my mother if she could defend herself because some boys were calling her names and said they were going to beat her up.
What were they calling you, Mackenzie?
Four eyes and eyes twitching.
You think that's nice?
No.
Don't even suggest to me that nobody said that to Mackenzie because we know that they did.
It was Easton and Rance that were...
It was somebody else.
Yes.
Somebody else did it. You know what we used to call that? The Sadi principle. Remember that? Some other dude did it. Why were they calling her names?
Because, I think because she twitches. I'm not sure. But I told them not to, but they just kept going.
You told them not to. You,
Yeah.
age 12, told these boys that you were trying to impress. Don't tease the little girl. That's not nice. You told them that.
Yeah.
I don't believe you. You, who ended up punching her, told the other two boys who were merely calling her names, don't call her names. Is that what you want me to believe? Brett?
Yes.
I don't!
Judge Judy continues in a moment. 10-year-old Mackenzie Hammond says 12-year-old Brett Williams punched her in the face and broke her glasses. Brett says Mackenzie hit him first.
So your sister said to you, can I defend myself?
She said that to my mother, but I was sitting there and heard it. And then my mother sent me and my boyfriend down to see what was going on because Mackenzie doesn't get in fights. She doesn't get in trouble.
And when you went down there, what happened?
We went to go see what was going on, what the boys, why they were bugging them, what the side of the story were. And there was 4 boys, and they all ran into the bathroom and hid.
Everybody had to go to the bathroom the same time?
No, I didn't go in there. I went behind the counter.
You hid behind the counter. The other 3 went into the bathroom.
No, me and Jason went behind the counter.
So the 2 of you hid behind the counter, and 2 of your friends, the 2 who were teasing her, ran into the bathroom.
Yes.
That's not right.
Can I see the bill for the glasses, please? Stand up with him now. Brett, do you have any brothers and sisters?
Yes.
Brothers or sisters?
Both.
How old is your brother?
11 and 4.
And what about a sister?
14 and 2.
Okay. How would you feel if your sister wasn't very nice looking and some kids were teasing her and making her feel sad and cry? How would you feel?
Bad.
What would you do?
Tell the other people not to.
Because it really isn't nice to tease other people.
Right.
Especially not right to tease other people if they have a physical disability. Right?
Right.
You would never do that, would you?
Probably would.
You did. Anything you want to say to me?
No, ma'am.
Good. Judge the plaintiff for the amount of $517. That's all. Now you can apologize.
Sorry for punching you.
Why does that
I'm breaking
excuse?
your
Can I step out?
I don't feel that I should have paid for the whole thing since my kid wasn't the only one involved.
Oh, there were 4 boys, and they were definitely all involved, but her son is the one that actually punched my daughter and broke the glasses.
It was a little bit of both sides, not just one.
It was up to her to go after the other boys for their part of it.
She threw the first swing, and I was doing self-defense.
I feel that it was very fair because Brett lied, just brought everything.
Mackenzie walked away 4 different times from this kid. They even pursued her to the car and beat on the car.
Don't hit if you don't want to get hit back.
Given the fact that the kid has been in trouble before with the law, I hope he gets some help. Think he needs it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Boulier versus Jacobelli, step forward, please.
Film grip David Boulier is suing his former friend, high-tech salesperson Kathy Jacobelli, for the return of his Australian border collie, Carson. Kathy claims she paid him $1,200 for the dog.
Mr. Boulier, what do you do for a living, sir?
I work in the film business. I do set, grip, and lighting.
For how long have you been working in the film business?
Like 12 years.
You work as a freelancer.
Yeah. Yes.
And you?
I work in high-tech sales, primarily venture-backed startup companies in Silicon Valley.
Mr. Boulier, according to your complaint, you and the defendant knew each other. You were friends?
Yeah.
Try yes.
Yes.
And it is your claim that she has your dog.
Yes.
You want the dog back?
Yes.
Ms. Jacobelli says that she purchased the dog from you.
Absolutely.
It's her dog. She doesn't know why in the world you're suing her. Is that a picture of the dog that I see?
Yes.
May I see the picture?
It's gorgeous.
Oh, beautiful dog. What kind of a dog is this?
It's an Australian Shepherd Border Collie mix.
It's a mixed breed dog.
Yeah. Yes.
Where did you get the dog from, sir?
We got him from a farm in Sonoma.
From whom?
Just from a family that had puppies.
When you say we, who is we?
Me and my ex-girlfriend.
When?
About 5 years ago.
Under what circumstances did you get the dog?
We were looking for a dog just like that, and we just happened to come across a sign when we were going down this country road.
What did the sign say?
It said puppies for sale. So we pulled in there, and out came like 6 of them. And Carson came right up to us, and he said, oh, we'll take them.
How much did you pay for him?
$100.
And Carson is about 5 years old?
Yeah. Yes.
How did Miss Jacobelli come into possession of Carson?
Well, I met Kathy about 1.5 years ago at a bar, and we just became really good friends. And she just fell in love with my dog, and she would have him for, periods of time. And Carson would always go with me. He'd always be with me everywhere I go. I told her, I said, hey, you got my dog so much, you should get me another dog. So she agreed to buy me another dog. And she asked me what kind I wanted, and I told her, and she asked me how much, and I told her.
Just a second. When you said, would you buy me another dog, what kind of a dog did you tell Kathy that you wanted?
It's a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel.
They're very nice little dogs. They look like they're a little smaller than Carson.
Yeah. Yes. I'll get it right, sorry. I apologize.
So you told her you wanted a Cavalier King Charles.
Yeah. Yes.
And she said, well, I'm crazy about your dog. You had your own dog at the time.
Yes, I have another dog.
But you're crazy about Carson.
Absolutely.
So she wrote you a check so
Yes.
you could buy this other dog.
Yes.
How much did she write you a check for?
$1,200.
Did you cash the check?
Yes.
Did you buy the Cavalier King Charles?
Yes, I did.
You did? Do you have a picture?
Yes.
Sure, I'd like to see it.
I have pictures of both dogs here.
I don't care about Carson. I have a wonderful picture of Carson. I want to see a picture of your new
But
dog.
I have a puppy picture of him.
I want to see a picture of the new dog.
Okay.
And when did you buy this Cavalier King Charles?
About 10 months ago.
You still have him?
Yes.
You like him?
Oh, yeah.
So why are you here, sir?
Because this lady stole my dog. She won't give him back. She's claiming she bought the dog from me. On the
What did
check
she give? Just a second. What did she give you the $1,200 for?
to buy this new dog.
Is there something wrong with your mind? I mean, are you challenged? Are you mentally challenged?
No, I'm not.
I mean, are you mentally challenged?
No, I'm not.
I want to fully understand, sir, what you want me to believe. You want me to believe that she spent a lot of time with your dog, and over a year ago, you let Carson stay with her because she said to you, listen, I love Carson, and I want to keep him with me all the time. And you said to her, well, I want a new dog. And she said, okay, here's $1,200, go out and buy yourself a new dog, with the understanding that you would buy yourself a new dog and also get Carson back. Is that what you want me to believe?
Can I explain it to you?
Just a second. Is that what you want me to believe?
That's kind of how it is.
Well, she gave you the $1,200 for a new dog, and
Yes.
you want your old dog back.
She gave me $1,200 for this new dog because she had my dog, and we agreed that she would have Carson half the time. And that was working out, but now she's won't come to stick with her agreement. Over Christmas, I went to get the
Tell
dog.
him where to... You should stick this picture back in his folder, please. Tell him to.
What she said.
I don't understand why you're
folder.
siding with a lady who took my dog, who I love very much, and won't even let me see him.
Listen, sir. You sold her the dog.
I never sold her the dog.
Where has the dog lived for the last year?
My house and her house. She even went behind my back and got him vaccinated and got a dog license without my consent. Yeah, she did. People can do that.
Get over it.
I'm not over it. It's my dog. I want my dog. She
You're
never
not
bought
getting
the
your dog,
She
and you're
never
not
bought
getting
the dog off me.
$3,000, which you're suing for. You got $1,200, which is a very, very good profit on the $100 dog that you purchased 5 years ago. The dog, a very good place in a very good home. You have your own dog. I hope you love your dog. This dog belongs to her. You see, you didn't have to say a word.
The dog doesn't
right?
belong to her.
Goodbye.
She never bought the
That's
dog
it.
off me. Whatever.
Huge.
I
You
don't
may
care.
step out.
I'm a little nervous. I couldn't really explain what was really going on.
I'm very happy I came down here and finally getting this crazy situation over and done with.
I never sold her the dog.
He actually thinks I stole the dog. He comes to my house and police cars show up.
It's my dog.
He demands the dog, and I give him the money, and he says it's for another dog.
Our agreement was for her to have the dog half the time.
He tells me the $1,250 is for joint custody of the other dog.
She liked the dog. And I was nice. I let her keep him half the time.
He verbally gave me the dog, so I took the dog.
She's an evil woman. She's an evil witch of a woman that stole my dog.
He's crazy, so I figure if I pay a lot of money, I can end this whole thing.
I didn't put a price on my dog. She gave me the money to buy another dog so she can keep my other dog half the time.
He actually took the check, but he crossed out for Carson on the check. And so he thinks that because he crossed out for Carson, it's null and void.
How could someone steal someone's dog from them, you know? Just take it and not let them see it again.
He has me in every court possible and mediation, and it's just been going on for a year.
This ain't over. This ain't over at all.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Haynes versus Lang. Step forward, please.
County Inspector Douglas Haynes is suing his former friend, event coordinator Kimberly Lang, for the return of furniture he loaned her. Kimberly claims Douglas gave her the furniture.
Mr. Haynes, you and the defendant had a friendship, according to what I read. You met at a car dealership and you had dinner a couple of times. And it is your claim that you loaned the defendant some furniture that you had because you were doing some remodeling in your house or garage. And you now want the furniture back.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Lang says that you never loaned her this furniture. You said that you were getting rid of it, but you'd like to have it. She said yes. She did in fact take the furniture because she was new to the area and didn't have any furniture that she had brought with her. That it was not a loan, but a gift. First, show me the furniture that you allegedly loaned to her. I see two people, one with a beard and a shirt open, and one lady with glasses on.
Those are my previous neighbors, and that's the stereo cabinet behind them.
And then we have a brass bed.
Yes.
Okay. Two dressers, I see. What about this sofa? You want this back?
No, it's 23 years old.
Looks as if it was 23 years old. How long did you know Miss Lang before you loaned her this furniture?
Approximately 1 month.
And tell me the circumstances surrounding your loaning her the furniture.
Well, I'm putting an addition on my garage plus a room on top, and there were some heavy beams I had to remove. I didn't want to damage it, so I was going to put it in storage, and Kimberly didn't have any furniture yet. So I mentioned that, well, if she can store it for me and use it, then that would help me out. And on January 2nd, we delivered the furniture, but I noticed that she already had 2 dressers, and then we had some disagreements. And
could you look at me?
Oh, okay. We had some disagreements, and we were going to meet for breakfast.
Could you look at me straight on? I mean, I don't want to embarrass you if you have something wrong with your neck. I just want you to look over here so I can tell what your eyes are telling me in addition to what your mouth is telling me, Mr. Haynes.
Okay. And on January 13th, we're going to meet for breakfast.
Yeah.
Well, she didn't show up, and it upset me. So I went over to see her, and I decided that I didn't want any more to do with the relationship, and I called her up and said, I don't want to do this anymore. May I have my furniture back? And she did call me on the 17th and said I could not have the furniture back, that I made a big mistake and I blew it, and also that I'd have to take her to court to get the furniture back.
Who is this person?
This is my sister, and she had 2 conversations with Kimberly when we were delivering the furniture.
Okay, step up. Tell me your name.
Sandra Haynes.
Who delivered the furniture to Miss Lang?
My brother and Kimberly both.
What did you have to do with it?
Doug was telling me, with Kimberly there, that Kimberly had agreed to store his furniture, and it was a convenient situation because she had no furniture, and so it kind of helped them both out.
Okay. That's it?
That's it. They didn't stay that long.
Do you have any other conversation with her?
Yes, I did.
When?
I believe after she got back from Los Angeles on the 17th. I called her because she had let Doug know that day that he was not getting back his furniture. So I asked Kimberly, why aren't you giving my brother back his furniture? And she said that she was angry at Doug. Doug was angry at her. She got her parents involved. They didn't want her having anything to do with him, and it was out of her hands. Number 2, yes, this was payback time. She had to get back at my brother because of breaking.
Don't tell me breaking up. I'm not interested.
Yes.
I just want to know what she said to you and what you said to her.
That's the conversation. And I said, I do not understand. Why can't we just come over and pick up the furniture? It has sentimental value. It's my parents' old wedding set.
And she said?
She said she'd think about it.
Okay, good. Thank you. Now I'll hear you.
Okay. I had met Doug 2 times prior to that date at the car dealership that I worked at. He was a customer. He had subsequently made a phone call to me that he had some furniture that he needed to get rid of, and he knew from our previous conversation that I had an empty apartment and that my stuff was in storage in Orange County. Asked me if I'd be interested in coming by and taking a look at the furniture because he needed to get rid of it. He was doing this remodel. I went by there. It was either the 31st or the 1st of December, or January 1st. Looked at the furniture. The next day was when he actually delivered it to my place. I did drop by his sister's house, yes, and met her for the first time, but I was quite surprised that Doug had already explained to her the arrangement that was made with the furniture because she seemed to know what was going on. The furniture was not a loan. It was actually a gift. And so I wasn't at liberty to explain to her what was going on, but I was quite surprised that she understood what was going on.
Just a sec. Sure. She suggested to you that the furniture was a loan or a gift?
No. She stated, so my brother delivered the furniture this morning, yes. And how does it look, and did you set it up, and so forth. And I explained to her at the time we did set up the bed. At that point, it was pouring rain. We had a mattress in the back of Doug's truck that was being delivered to my parents. I was sleeping on the floor on a mattress. So we stopped by her house on the way to my parents to drop off that mattress. I didn't hear from Doug again until the 17th of January. I got back from Orange County. There was a message on my machine, and at that point was when he asked me to dinner. I refused to have dinner with him, and I was not interested in dating Doug. He got very angry because I wasn't interested in dating him, and he started demanding his furniture back. I don't know why he was getting upset with me at that point. He threatened my job. He threatened my life. He says, I know where you work. I know where you live. This is going to escalate, and he made some threats, and I hung up the phone on him. That's when his sister called me.
Miss Lang, yes, you sound like an intelligent lady.
Thank you.
He sounds, according to you, like a nut.
Yes.
And the only nexus that you had to this nut was these pieces of furniture that you had had for 15 days.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
So if I were being a smart person, I would say to myself, miscommunication, it was a gift and now he wants it back, but he's a real nut and he's threatening me. Douglas, get a police officer, get your truck, come over and get your furniture. We now have nothing to do with each other. There is no reason for you to call me. There's no reason for you to have anything to do with me. That's what a smart person says.
Under normal circumstances?
Not a stupid person who says, now I'm dealing with a nut.
You are.
And I have furniture that I've had for 2 weeks. Furniture that belonged to your parents may have some sentimental value to you, sir. It's junk. I mean, I've looked at it. It's junk. The only thing that looks anywhere that somebody might want to keep is this brass bed. And I may not be a furniture maven, but I have a pretty good eye. The only value that that bedroom set has is sentimental value, because other than that, it has no value. Now,
Your Honor, I do have. When I went to Orange County, when I rented a pickup truck, and I do have a receipt here that shows when I actually picked up the truck and when I actually returned it, there was furniture that I left behind because now I had an apartment full of furniture. I now had 2 dressers, a bed, a coffee table, a couch. There were things that I left behind in storage. So when
are you telling me, Ms. Lang, that the couch you left behind was not as nice?
No, I didn't have
just a second. The couch that you left behind was not as nice as this couch? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
That's not what I'm saying. I did not have a couch in storage.
Right. I mean, I was a little confused. Give him back his furniture. Now!
Thank you.
And say, I'm going to borrow that mattress from my parents again if I have to have a mattress to sleep on. But I don't want Mr. Haynes in my life. I don't want his sister in my life. I don't want this nut calling my job. I just want it over. And I'm going to give him back his parents' furniture so he can put his underwear in it, and give him back his brass bed so he can sleep on it. And I don't want to have anything to do with me anymore. Is that fine, Douglas?
Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you, sir. I wouldn't date him. I turned him down, and that's when he demanded his furniture back.
She was just upset because I didn't want to be with her anymore.
In the court order, it states that, he's contacted my work. He's knows I no longer work there.
I don't know where she came up with that one.
He knows where I work. He knows where I live, and I'm very concerned for myself.
Customer service rep Sandre Parker is suing appliance store owner Omar Jazar for a refund on a washer, dryer, and refrigerator. Sandre also claims Omar assaulted her.
Now, this is case number 581 on the calendar in the matter of Parker versus Jazar. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Ms. Parker, you purchased a washer and dryer and a refrigerator from the defendant's store.
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, all 3 of those items didn't work properly.
Correct.
You returned the washer and dryer, and after getting the runaround from Mr. Jazar, you went to the store and you claim he assaulted you there.
Correct.
You want to be compensated for the washer dryer, which you still don't have, the refrigerator, which doesn't work, and the assault.
Correct.
Mr. Jazar says you can have another washer and dryer, and he didn't assault you, you assaulted him. Right?
I don't think so.
Did you listen to what I said?
Yes.
What did I say that was wrong?
Right.
Ah, I see this is going to be an interesting case. Mr. Jazar, what's the name of your store?
Dallas Appliances.
When did Miss Parker purchase the washer and dryer?
I don't remember.
When did you purchase the washer and dryer?
I originally purchased it, it was in March, the 21st when I went in.
Of what year?
Of 04.
When was it delivered?
April the 16th.
What took so long?
Because originally I had went into a shop on the 21st of March to purchase the refrigerator. I paid him for the refrigerator, and I picked out a washer and dryer set that I liked. The one that I picked out was sold, and he told me that he would order me one, and it would take about a week to get in. My witness went out and picked the refrigerator up that same day.
Did he give you what you considered a better deal because it was a floor model?
No.
Why not?
Well, this is a used or refurbished shop.
What kind of warranty comes with?
It was a 60-day warranty.
Okay.
When they came out to pick it up, he explained to them not to plug it in 30 minutes after they got it to my house. And also, when they plug it in, to plug it straight in, not to wiggle it.
Why was that, sir?
Because if the Freon shaking, they will mess up the engine on it. So it have to be 2-3 hours minimum to plug it in.
Is that what he told you, sir?
He told me a time. I wasn't really sure how much time he said, but he said, like, don't plug it in for this amount of time. And then...
Stand up. Stand up. Your name?
Darian King.
Mr. King, so he told you how much time, but you don't remember how much time he told you?
It was between 30 minutes and an hour that he said.
So did you listen to him?
Yes, I did.
When did you start to have trouble with it?
3 weeks later.
Within the warranty period?
Correct. It started making a loud noise. And so at that point, I still hadn't received my washer or dryer.
Had you called about the washer or dryer?
I called several times. I was getting them running around.
What's the matter with the washer and dryer?
She make a payment to the washer and dryer. She didn't pay me full price to the washer and dryer.
Why should you pay it before she has it?
When she pay me full, I give her the washer or dryer, and she called complain. I send my technician to her house in my expense.
When did you get the washer?
It was
and dryer?
about 3 weeks later.
How much did he charge you for the washer and dryer?
I paid $433, and I paid $378.87 for the refrigerator.
Was this a new washer and dryer that she was getting, or used?
No, used.
Where were you getting it from?
I'll buy them from dealers like a Sears or some other dealers. I fix them and I resell them.
Well, where did you buy this one from that she had picked out?
I have no clue.
What do you mean you have no clue? Who is supposed to know if you have no clue?
I buy it from some guy. His name's David. He's a big wholesaler, so I don't know where I get it from.
When he delivered the washer and dryer to you about 3 weeks later, what was the problem with it?
Well, he never delivered it. I had to go in and pick it up. Okay. And at that time, it was a different set than what I originally pointed out. It was an older model, and then it was a different color than I originally asked for. And so I told him I didn't want that. That's not what I ordered. I told him that I just wanted my money back. He told me it was against the policy, and I showed him this is what I ordered. I showed him a set that he had there. And he told me, no, Sandra, this is more expensive. And so I was like, well, he was like, I'll make a deal with you. You give me $150 more, and I'll upgrade it for you. So at that time, I was like, fine. I had a small baby, and I needed a wash and dryer. So I gave him $150 more to upgrade it.
Okay.
Okay, he upgraded it. I took that wash and dryer, the one that I picked out at that time. As soon as I got it home, I would start washing clothes, and I noticed on the spin cycle it was like real loud. And I told him, I was like, Omar, it's too loud. And he agreed with me. He said it was loud and that it just had a new belt on it, and to give it a week and it should work better. And the dryer wasn't heating up like it was supposed to either. I waited a week. It still worked the same. I called him, left a message. He didn't return my call. I waited another week. At that time, my refrigerator was making a loud noise. He was like, well, I'm going to send my technician, Willie, to come out and look at it for you. He said it would be a $50 trip fee.
So we're still within the warranty on both of these items?
Correct. And I have the receipt for the...
Can I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, for the warranty, you have to bring it to me, to my shop to fix it. The technician has
What, are you crazy? Are you crazy, sir?
No, she knows. I told her.
Quiet. So far, I want you to consider yourself in trouble.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Parker says appliance store owner Omar Jazar sold her 3 defective appliances. Sandra claims when she tried to get a refund, Omar assaulted her.
Keep going. You're within the 60-day warranty period.
Right. So he sent Willie out the following day. Willie looked at the refrigerator, told me the motor was going out. So I was like, fine. He took a couple of parts off the refrigerator and told me he would be back later that day. He was going into the shop to get the parts, and he would be out to repair it. He never came back that day.
Wait just a second. What's the name of your store again?
Dallas Appliances.
You still in business?
No.
Now, what happened when you went into the store to confront the defendant?
Me and myself and my witness and another gentleman went to his shop. They pulled around the back because they were going to load up the washer and dryer, and I went in through the front. I went over to him and I was like, Omar, is the part for my refrigerator in? And how about my washer and dryer? He told me no, the part wasn't in.
Why wasn't the part in?
That's not the truth. She never bring the fridge to me.
She doesn't have to bring it to you.
We have no problem with the fridge. She never mentioned the fridge for me. We don't have no problem with the fridge. The problem is with the washer and the dryer. That's
Listen
it.
to me, sir.
She never complained to me about the fridge. She just
I have a
complained about
receipt here from your technician who went out there and charged her $50.
And that's it. It was fixed.
Would you just tell me what happened?
Okay, I had went into a shop on the 21st. I had told him that I was just upset. I told him I wanted my money back. I had my receipts. I would just take him to court. He got upset. He told me he didn't want to deal with me anymore. He started trying to explain to Darian that he had a dryer up front and he had a washer in the back that I could take home.
All right, he's a hustler.
Right.
You should have contacted the Attorney General.
I did.
Oh, you did? Good. Maybe they put him out of business. Maybe they put him out of business. But if I were a member of the public, I wouldn't buy a thing from him.
Right.
Nothing. He took advantage of you.
Right.
He doesn't have to say a thing. The few things that he say to me make it crystal clear to me that he took advantage of you. And that's how he does business. But you're a grown-up girl. Right. You should know better.
Right.
Spend a little more money and buy something from people who are reputable, who have reputations, who stand behind their product.
Right.
Not charlatans like this man.
I think this is good advertisement.
You think it's a good advertisement? I want to tell you something. If you think that this is a good advertisement, I have a good psychiatrist that I'd like to introduce you to. You took advantage of this lady.
No, how come you said I took advantage? I didn't take advantage of her.
How old are you, sir?
34.
I'm a lot older than you are. I don't look a lot older than you do, but I am a lot older than you are. And I have bought many an appliance that came with guarantees. Listen to me very carefully and stop shaking your head. Try to put on your listening ears,
I'm
Mr.
listening.
Jadot.
I'm listening.
I have never come across a store owner who told me to bring back the refrigerator. Never. They've said to me, bring back the laptop computer, bring back the camera, but I have never. And believe me, sir, I have bought more appliances than you have years. Ever heard the stupidity that you're suggesting to me is true, that if you have a problem with a refrigerator, you're supposed to bring it back to your store so that you can fix it?
She like it. She can buy it. If she don't want to buy it this way, she cannot buy it.
That's what she wanted. She wanted her money back. That's what she should have done.
No.
That's what you should have done, because the thing broke within the 60-day warranty period, and your mechanic that you sent out there was not able to fix it. And you tried to pawn off a washer and dryer that she had not ordered. And when you already had her money and she said, this is not what I ordered, you said, hustle, hustle. If you give me another $150, I'll give you a better one that's out front. Well, you already had her money.
That's
so
not
I'm speaking. I am speaking.
I'm listening.
You are a hustler.
No, I'm not a hustler.
You are a hustler, sir.
No,
and you hustled this lady out of her property. Now, did he hurt you when he ripped the receipt out of your hand?
Yes, we were back.
Wait just a second. Now, I want you to be very careful. Don't start shaking now, because so far you've been telling me the truth.
Okay, when we were back in the back, he was showing the washer and dryer. He was making out a new receipt. When I asked him to plug it up, because it looked like it was being worked on, he told me he couldn't. I asked him why. He told me because the repairman wasn't there to plug it up. I'm like, okay, well, just make me out a receipt, and on the receipt you need to state if I have any problems with it, you'll send him out there to fix it at no charge to me. And I have the old receipts, I'll just write void on them. He was like, no, you just give me the receipts. And I told him I wasn't going to give it to him. At that point, he got real mad. He stood up, he lunged at me, he grabbed one of my this arm, and he snatched the receipts. When he snatched the receipt out of my hand, that's when he scratched my hand. And at that point, I was in shock. I was just standing there, and Darren, he intervened between us.
Did you have any medical treatment?
No.
That's right.
And so Darian intervened in between us, told him not to put his hands back on me, and told me to go call 911. So at
you don't call 911. I call 911. I have the police report here.
I have the police report and I have the
Why you don't go
audio.
to the hospital? Why you don't go to the hospital?
Because you scratched me and hurt, grabbed my wrist.
2, quiet. Good. The total amount of money that you gave him for the washer, dryer, refrigerator, plus the $150 for the upgrade comes to $961. As far as I'm concerned, you had at least a couple $100 worth of aggravation. And I think that he has to compensate you for the aggravation. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,200. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The police took both sides and told me to leave.
There is no assault, was there?
Well, I kind of used a little profanity to try to maybe scare tactic or something, you know.
There was no was hustling, nothing.
Don't mess with shysters like him.
27-year-old service technician Alex Caballero is suing the mother of his child, 26-year-old Lena Taru, for kicking his front door. Alex says Lena was angry he filed a report with Child Protective Services.
This is case number 578 on the calendar in the matter of Caballero versus Taru.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. Caballero, Miss Taru was formerly your girlfriend.
Yes.
You have a child together.
Correct.
How old is that child?
7 years old.
A little girl.
Yes.
And you have an order of visitation with the child.
Yes.
You are currently married, I assume, to this lady.
Yes.
And you have 1 or 2 children?
I have 2 children and 1 on the way.
According to your complaint, during a scheduled visitation, you noticed that your daughter had a recurrence of a severe eczema problem that she suffers from.
Yes.
You tried to contact her mother. Her mother had turned off her cell phone. So you contacted the child's grandmother,
Correct.
Miss Taru's mother, and you told her that you were planning on taking the child to the doctor.
Yes, ma'am.
Then you went to work.
That's correct.
Miss Taru became upset that you planned to take the child to the doctor. She came to your home when your wife was at home, and according to you, broke your security door.
Yes.
Ms. Taru says you owe her over $4,000 in child support, so what are you complaining about?
The child support's getting taken out of my check. My check's getting garnished every week.
What is the child support order that you have for your daughter?
It's, I believe it's $400 something a month.
How much is this child support order?
$214.
$214 a month.
Correct. He does have another child, is the reason that they take more than just my amount out. He has another child with a mother that also garnishes wages out of his check.
Is that right?
Yes.
You got a lot of children, Mr. Caballero. You must be very rich.
With children, yeah.
Those are your riches, sir. But sometimes you have to think with this. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now you can stand up. Your name is Mrs. Caballero, and you tell me, Mrs. Caballero, what happened when Miss Taru came to your house?
Lena made arrangements with my mother-in-law for the daughter to come over for the weekend on February 11th. And after dinner, I decided to give her a bath. When I got her ready for her bath, I saw that she had whelps on her from her eczema, and she has sores on her arms, all over her chest, thighs, and both eyes, and it was fully all over her body. And when I did give her a lukewarm bath, she did cry that it did hurt her skin.
How long has your daughter suffered from eczema?
Since she was born, Your Honor, since she was 6 days old.
When was the last time prior to February 11th that the child had seen a physician?
On January 31st.
When had it become so exacerbated to cause concern to the police officer who came and saw the child?
It's always been that way, Your Honor. I have a letter from her doctor.
I'd like to see the letter from her doctor.
I got pictures of it also.
I'd like to see the photographs.
Can I mention that it's hereditary, and my sister also suffers the severe disease as well and has the same exact symptoms, and she's 24 years old, Your Honor.
And that was just recent pictures.
I have a couple of questions for you.
Sure.
This letter from the doctor, which you furnished me.
Correct.
Says that you told the doctor that Alexa, that's your daughter,
correct,
was found with her stepsister involved in sexual play.
Correct.
How old is that child?
At that time, she was 2 years old.
And how old was your daughter?
I want to say 5.
So they're baby playing.
Correct.
All right. What I need, because he says that he couldn't get this eczema under control, so we sent you to a dermatologist.
Yes.
Doctor. I'd like to see a report is when you last took the child to see Dr.
I don't have a statement.
Well,
with
when
me.
prior to February 11th had the child seen Dr.
The beginning of January.
This is too serious a condition, madam, to wait 6 weeks.
No, Your Honor, I have several medications that my daughter is on that I use on a typical basis.
Did the police officer who responded that day tell you better take this child immediately to the doctor?
No, she suggested that I take her to the doctor, or she would have, well, yes, actually, yes, you're right, correct. Or that she would call an ambulance and have
You're
her
absolutely right, because the police officer who responded that day viewed this situation as critical enough to say, unless you guarantee me that you're going to take the child immediately to the doctor, she's taking the child by ambulance to the hospital.
Correct.
So when did you take the child to the dermatologist?
Oh, I didn't take her to the dermatologist, Your Honor. I took her to the regular doctor because it was a Saturday.
When did you take her to the dermatologist?
She hasn't been, Your Honor.
That's neglect.
I have no medical coverage right now, Your Honor.
I don't care what you have to do to get enough money to take your child to the dermatologist. Your doctor, in a letter that you gave me, madam, from your doctor, the doctor says, this problem is so serious and so intractable that I cannot treat the child. Right. So I referred her to a dermatologist, which you didn't take her to.
He also doesn't provide medical coverage for my daughter, Your Honor.
What difference does that make? He said,
because
listen to me very carefully. I read your answer. Your answer said that you got angry, that he was going to take the child to the doctor.
Correct.
So you went over to pick her up.
I did.
And it would seem to me that on February 11th, since you haven't had the child to the dermatologist since the beginning of January because you have no medical coverage, that if the child's father was prepared to take her to a doctor to look into this situation that was unremitting while in your care, you wouldn't get angry. You would say, thank you.
No.
Thank you. Not, she's mine and I'll take care of it.
Your Honor,
Listen to me. That's what a mother does. A mother does not say, I'm not going to let him because that's my job and he has no right to do that. Mother says, if I don't have medical coverage and my husband doesn't provide enough for me to take the child to the dermatologist, if the child's father's going to do that, let him. That's great just as long as the child gets cared for. So the fact that you went over there and made a fuss over there that day is stupid.
I did take my daughter to the doctor that day. I could not take her to dermatology that day.
The doctor says he can't help her. This is a letter you gave me. The doctor says I cannot help her. That was a Saturday. Did you take the child to the dermatologist Monday?
No, because my coverage ended.
Is she not following me?
I could not.
Is she not following me?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Habanero says his child's mother, Lena Teru, damaged his front door by kicking it. Alex also says Lena is neglecting their daughter.
You got bigger problems than a door. I don't know what you're here wasting your time for with a door for $300 that got broken. I would save my energy and my time off from work by pursuing, if you feel as if you can provide the child with a better situation, with pursuing either more liberal rights with regard to this child's medical care or custody of this child if you feel as if you can provide for the child so that a child doesn't have to have these kind of wilts because these two people can't provide the child with appropriate medical care. Do you understand?
He now provides medical coverage for us, Your Honor.
It's not good enough. I guarantee you that if he was walking around with this on his behind, or you would have gotten yourself to a doctor and had it taken care of. Guaranteed.
On his knee.
And the fact that this child is 7 years old and has no voice, and you have to be this child's voice, is to me an abomination that you would allow the child to walk around for 6 weeks like this. Now, you want to talk about your door?
Yeah.
How did the door get broken?
When she, after that incident, I had a phone conversation with her stating that she was going to come over and pick up the daughter. I stated to her that her daughter needed to see a physician that day, and then she continued to call me names over the phone, so I hung up on her.
I asked about the door.
This getting to the door.
Get there faster. I'm losing patience with the door when I'm looking at her behind like this. I'm losing patience with everybody.
She came to the house, continued to ring the doorbell. I answered the front door, and we did have a security screen door. She asked for her daughter. I told her no. And she continued to say, I'm going to kick you, I'm going to kill you. As soon as you come out of here, I'm going to get you. And I told her if she don't get off my property right now, I'm going to call the sheriffs. And as soon as I said that, she started to pull and bang and yank on the security screen door.
You have a picture of the door?
I also have a witness, that my neighbor, that also seen all of it.
Is the witness here?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let me see. Where's the witness?
He's in the back.
Okay, let's bring out the witness, please.
You swear to tell the truth in these matters?
Yes.
State your name for the record, please.
Travis Smith.
Mr. Smith, are you a neighbor of these people?
Yes, I am.
All right, I'm going to direct your attention to the 12th of February of 2005. Were you home on that day?
Yes, I was.
Did you witness an altercation between this defendant and the plaintiff's wife?
Yes.
Would you tell me what you observed, please?
I heard a bunch of yelling and screaming.
What did you hear?
I heard, open the door, give me my kid, something to that effect. A lot of profanity.
By whom?
Defendant. At the time, I didn't realize it was actually her that was screaming the profanity. I thought it was the people down the street that were fighting. I came outside, and when I noticed that it was actually coming across the street, I approached her, just trying to figure out what was going on.
What did you say to her?
Basically, I asked, what's going on? Because I'm new to the neighborhood. I want to, trying to learn my neighbors. And
okay, she said, what's going on? And she said,
oh, I'm trying to get my baby. They have my baby, and she won't let me have her. She goes, I have the cops on the way, and I walked her out onto the sidewalk, and I said, well, if the police are on their way, then why don't you stand here, calm down, let the police do their job.
Okay. Is that all you saw?
Pretty much.
Can I mention my side of what he said?
Go ahead.
When he came outside, he asked me, is that Alexis and Alicia fighting again? And I said, no, it's me screaming at her to give me my daughter.
Is that what you said?
No. I didn't even know her name at the time. I didn't even know he had another daughter. That's how new to the street I was.
He might have said Alex and his wife fighting again.
I said, are they fighting again? I thought it was people down the street.
He had said that they were fighting last weekend, the weekend prior to the February 12th.
No.
She was so upset she doesn't know.
Well,
the only thing she wasn't upset about, the only thing Ms. Charu wasn't upset about was this.
That's...
You owe him the money for the door, madam, $322. Judgment for the plaintiff in that amount. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I just want to get my daughter taken care of, and I just want her to take responsibility for the actions she did.
I think she's jealous, and because that was her first love, and I came in between. I told her I'd kill her. She didn't give me my daughter. That's right, I did.
Plaintiff Lucinda Waters is suing her stepdaughter, 22-year-old secretary Kim Flatt, and her husband, 24-year-old construction worker Brandon Flatt. Lucinda says when the couple fell on hard times, she helped them pay their bills.
This is case number 192 on the calendar in the matter of Waters versus Flatt.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Ms. Waters, do you have a problem that requires you to wear a visor and sunglasses?
Yes, ma'am. I have a letter from the doctor here.
Can I see it, please?
Yes.
All right, well, this is a letter requesting permission for you to wear a visor and glasses.
Yes.
So I have no objection.
Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Waters, this young lady is your stepdaughter.
Yes.
And her husband.
Yes.
And this gentleman?
Is my husband.
This is your daughter?
Yes, ma'am.
Your complaint alleges that you loaned your stepdaughter and her husband a little over $10,000.
Yes.
And they have repaid half.
A little less than half.
And you want the balance?
Yes.
Your stepdaughter and her husband say they've paid you back all that they have to because they did some work, some barter for you that took care of the balance of the loan. That's your defense. Is that right? How much money did she borrow from you?
Total? Probably about $70,000.
What did you borrow the money for?
For car payments. She paid insurance. There is a payoff balance there from a vehicle that she had taken.
For a car?
Right.
That you needed?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, how much money did you borrow from your mother?
Her or my real mother?
Your biological mother?
None.
None? How much money did you borrow from your father?
None.
So it sounds to me, from your mother and your father, you got squat. From your stepmother, you got a whole bunch, right?
Right.
Now, you paid her back $4,000. She says she's loaned you over the years a lot more than $10,000. So now you are going to explain to me why you didn't pay her back the rest. Who's speaking?
Well, first of all, it all started out where we were getting behind.
Why were you getting behind?
On trying to get everything paid.
Why?
Financially.
We were financially in a rut, Your Honor, and
Why were you in a rut? You're two young people. How many children do you have?
2.
2. Do you work?
Yes.
Do you work?
Yes.
Well, I have slow season at my work, and then we weren't making the bills, and Miss Waters took on a couple loans for us. That's how.
Well, that was really nice of her. You have mother and father?
Yes.
Did they give you money to pay off your bills?
No. If they had,
Yeah,
they
brother.
would.
What?
If they had, they would, though.
That's always a good answer. If I had it, I'd give you anything I had. All I wish to have is that I had it. So far, I've got your mother and father who gave you nothing, her mother and father who gave you nothing, and stepmother who gave you a lot. Right? I'm listening to a yes.
They helped us out, yes.
She helped you out.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So now I'm listening as to why you didn't pay her back. I'm listening.
We were renting a house from her. We did a bunch of repairs.
You were renting a house from her.
Yes.
So she had a house. Tell me about the house.
The house, originally when we first got married, she purchased a house for us, and we were buying the house off of her through a bank.
So she purchased a house, and she said to you, if you pay it off, it's yours. If you pay off the note, it's yours.
Yes.
Did she put any money down on the house?
I paid 100% of it. Their closing costs, their furniture, everything. All they had to do was move in.
And they were supposed to pay you back by paying rent every month?
Well, no, it was actually a mortgage set up at that time.
Oh, good.
So that they could get credit.
And how much were they supposed to pay you every month?
At that point, it was $435 a month.
What a bargain. Couldn't get that anywhere else, could you?
Nope. We got and we paid on it.
So?
But 2 years went by, we ran into some problems where my mother-in-law wanted to take the house back into her name.
Why was that?
We ran into marital problems.
Yeah.
And instead of losing the house, my mother-in-law wanted to sign the house back over into her name.
Your Honor, before that, before they had marital problems, they were over 3 months behind. I made arrangements with them at that time because I was going to go ahead and go into foreclosure because they were behind on their car payments, which Ford Credit was getting ready to come and repo. They called me. I had to send money to them to stop that. They were over 3 months behind on the mortgage. They talked me into stopping the foreclosure if I would give them a chance, and so I let them make month-and-a-half payments until they caught it up. Then they split up. And that time, my stepdaughter had actually moved in with another gentleman, and we allowed the grandchildren and Mr. Flat, Brandon here, to move in with my husband and I to help him out because everything was really chaotic at that time.
So far, does that sound right, Brandon? Did you go and live with them?
Yeah, for about a week or 2.
So they were very nice to you?
Grandchildren.
Well, you were there too, weren't you?
Yes.
You ate there, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
You slept there?
Yes.
Ah, I got it. Why don't you owe her the rest of the money?
Well, we ended up getting back together, moved back into the house, and at this time, my mother-in-law owned the home, and at this time, she decided to rent us the house.
She decided to what?
Rent us the house instead of mortgage payments.
Okay.
We did a bunch of repairs in the house, and she had an agreement where if I was going to help her do this work, she was going to sell us the house back, and she was going to use that money that I did on the work in the house as a down payment back to that house. That was a verbal agreement we had.
Is that right?
Somewhat.
What kind of an agreement did you have with him?
What happened was in October of 2003, they had come up and told me that they were not going to rent the house any longer when the lease ran out in March, I think it was. I told them at that point then I was going to have to do some renovations to the house and put it on the market to sell it because I needed to get out from under it because of the expenses. Then after some of the improvements that we were doing, we were, adding to actually make it a 3-bedroom home. They decided they liked the landscaping and everything we were doing to it. It looked real nice again, so they told me they wanted to buy it. So we told them at that point in time, if they were going to buy it, they had to get their own mortgage, that we couldn't do it. That was, we had done all we could do.
Right. Get your money. Act like grown-ups. Take care of yourself.
I told them, which basically wasn't legal, but I said, okay, if you help us finish this up so they can come in and do an appraisal on the house to help you get a mortgage, we'll say that you've put X amount of dollars down. So it'll make it easier for you to get this mortgage.
Gotcha. Does that sound right?
Yes, it does, yeah.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Cinda Waters says her stepdaughter, Kim Flatt, and her husband, Brandon, owe for loans to pay their bills. Lucinda also says the couple won't let her see the grandchildren.
So I'm still waiting to hear why you didn't pay your stepmother back and your mother-in-law back the money that you owe her.
Well, the last month we lived there, Your Honor, we were half a month behind, and she decided to evict us, so...
Why were you half a month behind?
Bills got caught.
Bills! You know, the two of you were like an accident looking to happen. You're old enough to make children, you're old enough to play house, but you're not old enough to take care of your business. This lady is not going to continue to take care of your business and to clean up after you. You have parents, they don't help you. You have brothers and sisters, who knows, and how many other relatives. Nobody else helps you except this lady here, and you pay her back by not paying her back. You two are an outrage. Do you get my point?
Yes, ma'am.
Huh?
Yes, ma'am.
You ought to thank her by kissing her anywhere she says. Instead of not paying her back what you owe her. Don't say anything else. Miss Waters, I'm not often prone to give advice and to talk about wise, age-old adages, but no good deed goes unpunished. You see, he's probably talking to his mother and father, who gave him nothing. Only, I'd give you anything I had if I had it, but I don't have it. She's probably still talking to her mother. She might even be talking to her father, who gave her nothing. The only one that they're not talking to is the one who was most generous and took care of them, and that's you.
And they won't even let me see the grandchildren.
Well, then they are stupid, insensitive babies, right? Because the only one that helped you is her. And it would seem to me that if you have children and the only grandparent that they can count on is her, then it would seem to me that you are really two of the dumbest people that I've met in a long time if you don't allow her to see her grandchildren.
They told me I would get a restraining order if I even tried to go see them.
Why is that?
Because look, she's trying to come after us for everything we ever had. She didn't always help us. She was always trying to bury us in financial debt every time she got a chance. Oh, I'll go buy you a car. And, you know, I need a car, so what can I do? I don't want my kids around somebody like that.
Where do you come from? Where do you come from? What jurisdiction do you come from? What
Florida.
state? Florida. Where in Florida?
Ocala.
They would have the water tested there. You owe her $5,000. And if you're smart and if you're sensitive, listen, see your first husband?
Yes.
Are you as dumb as he is?
No.
So you understand that he sounds very stupid. He does sound very stupid. You have children?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he the father of your children?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were separated once?
Twice.
Twice. Why don't you turn around? Just look at him. Okay? Now look at me. In 10 years, you won't remember what he looks like. I'm being serious with you. In 10 years, unless you have pictures around the house to look at, you will not remember what he looks like. Now I want you to look at her. You're going to always know what she looks like. She's going to be the staple in your life, not him. Now, quite frankly, you're irrelevant, but your children aren't irrelevant. You're going to have to rely on them. If you cut them off, you're as dumb as he is. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think that I'm right?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think that they just can get it and they don't have to pay it back.
I really don't believe that I owed her the money.
I was told to get out of their home, which was my home at the time.
Blown out of proportion.
I just want us all to be a family again.
In the future, yeah, I do see it.
And now the next case. Plaintiff Darlene Brown is suing anger management counselor Thomas Wilson for a refund of his fee. Darlene says her son was kicked out of class.
Now, this is case number 133 on the calendar in the matter of Brown versus Wilson. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Mrs. Brown, I assume that this gentleman here is your son. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
the son who was directed by a court to take anger management classes.
Yes, ma'am.
And I assume that that was as a result of some sort of a domestic dispute?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Wilson runs the anger management program, and your complaint alleges that you paid for part of a course that your son did not take because Mr. Wilson wouldn't let him take it. And Mr. Wilson owes you $200. Mr. Wilson says that your son was disruptive in the class, that he failed to follow the rules, and that he does not refund money. Pretty much is what you're saying, is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Step up, please. Mr. Fugit, when were you directed to take an anger management program?
I don't recall the specific date.
Mrs. Brown, do you?
Yes, ma'am. It was on 4/18/03.
And that was a result of a conviction for domestic violence?
Yes, I was convicted of a domestic violence charge.
Was there any jail time involved?
Yes, I believe there was.
What do you mean you believe?
I don't recall how long I spent in jail for that. I spent some time and I bonded out. I went to court and hired a lawyer, and I was convicted of a domestic violence charge.
And then did you go back to jail?
No, ma'am, I didn't. I was court ordered to go to a doctor and do a psychological evaluation, which I did, and I was directed to do a 32-hour combination class of anger management, 16 hours, and then a 16-hour domestic violence class, and that's what I attempted to do.
Well, so what happened?
Well, I attended the first 16-hour class.
Which was what?
16 hours of anger management.
Okay. So you attended the first half of the two-part series. Second part you didn't attend?
I showed up for the first session of the second part of the series, Your Honor.
And what happened?
There was 4 or 5 of us, and we discussed what was going to be happening, and they showed a video where the husband comes home from work, drinking, the wife's there, she wants to get out, go to her friends, she wants to go bowling, he's saying no, he doesn't like her friends, and he's being very verbally abusive to her and physically intimidating, and he slams her up against the drywall, and he draws back his hand like he's going to hit her, and they stop the program. And the instructor, Rick, asked us to please participate and comment on what it is that we saw. And 2 people that were in the class made their comments to it. It came to me. I told the instructor, Rick, that I found the class to be offensive, and I didn't see why I had to sit there and be subjected to that type of domestic violence inside of the class.
Well, you were convicted of domestic violence.
I was convicted of domestic violence, but I'm not a wife batterer. It was under a different circumstance.
You didn't think that you were that kind of a batterer, so why should you be forced to watch that film? Is that really what you were saying? I'm trying to understand. The film wasn't offensive. The film is designed to be instructive.
Correct.
Now, if you found the husband's behavior offensive, that's a different story. I find the man's behavior offensive. So which one was it?
The instructor asked me to participate in the class, and he asked me what I thought of the film. And I just primarily told him that I found the behavior of the man in the film to be offensive. And
I'm not sure that that's what, I mean, that's not. I think that you're playing with me now, Jason, because if you said to the instructor, I found that the man's behavior was offensive, that's the right answer. So I'm not sure that that's what happened.
Okay.
Anyway, you were asked to leave.
Yes, I was.
So your mother paid for the class?
Yes, ma'am.
He was asked to leave the second class. Is that the $200 you want back?
Yes, ma'am.
And?
He was asked to leave, and we sent a notice to the probation officer indicating that he was uncooperative, he didn't show any empathy. So sometime later, he was reordered.
He was reordered to go back to the program?
To go back to our program.
Okay.
And we agreed to take him back, but the condition was that he would have to repeat the anger management portion of the class.
Was there any reason you wanted him to restart the whole program?
Because he didn't show any real evidence that he'd learned anything from the first phase of treatment.
Okay. I would like to see the court order.
This is the original court order.
I want to see the court order. This order was dated April 17, 2003.
Yes, ma'am.
The judge directed your son to complete 32 hours of domestic violence education.
Yes, ma'am.
It was to enroll within 30 days and then promptly complete 32 hours of domestic violence education.
Yes, ma'am.
You did not do that. You enrolled, but you did not promptly complete.
That's what the probation violation was for, and then
Good! Then you belong to jail. If that's what the order was, you see, I always had a problem when you got a third chance. As a sitting judge, I believe that we send the wrong message to people when they are convicted of a crime, as he was, and given an opportunity to remain at liberty under certain conditions, and then if you do not comply with the conditions, you're given another chance, which is really what happened. If I were the judge in that case, his behind would have been behind bars, and he would have been resentenced. He doesn't get a chance to say, I'm a victim, I don't belong in this place, I don't belong watching this domestic violence film, it offends me. I don't give a rat's behind whether it offends your son or not, madam. I don't.
May I say something?
I'm going to finish.
Okay.
He did not promptly complete 32 hours because he didn't like the first movie.
And he was asked to leave.
He was disruptive to the program. He doesn't have an option. That's part of anger management. Don't you understand? That's part of the drill.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Arlene Brown says anger management counselor Thomas Wilson owes for a refund of his fee. Thomas says Darlene's son was uncooperative, so he was kicked out of the class.
Madam, you have to stop making excuses for your son. It's part of the drill. He doesn't get to choose his punishment. I don't care if they showed movies of somebody shoveling crap into a fan. And he found it offensive. That's what he does. And then when he's court ordered to go back to the program, what you're saying is, well, he completed the first 16 hours. He shouldn't have to complete that first 16 hours again. He should be able to go for the second 16 hours, right?
The court order says he just has to complete 16 hours of domestic violence.
Let me see it.
The judge found that I completed the first 16 hours.
Let me see it.
When I went back to court.
Let me see it.
I also have audio.
Okay, in August we went back, and right here it says you were to enroll in and then promptly complete the remaining 16 hours of domestic violence. That is true. Did you get a copy of this?
I did, Your Honor.
So? I mean, I wouldn't have done it.
I disagreed with the court, Your Honor. The
You
court...
can't. Unfortunately, Mr. Wilson, I disagree with the court, too. You can't.
Okay.
I would have put his behind in jail, because one of the problems with domestic violence is, and anger management is, you have to show that you can control yourself well enough to do certain things even if you don't like them. You don't like your wife, you don't like her behavior. This was your wife, wasn't it? This woman that you're supposed to stay away from, Jessica?
That's my ex-wife.
Oh, your ex-wife.
That's not what I was convicted of. That wasn't.
Well, have no contact with her. You mean they just picked her name out of a hat?
That was because of a divorce and a similar circumstance.
You mean they just picked Jessica's name out of a hat to put on this order twice? 2 times. They said, stay away from Jessica.
Maybe I didn't understand the question, Your Honor.
Well, did you commit domestic violence against anybody else except Jessica?
Yeah, that was the charge.
Somebody else or Jessica?
It wasn't against Jessica, Your Honor.
Who was it against?
I'm not exactly sure. I was having problems, and she went over to her brother's. I went over there. I had my infant son in my hand, and I was trying to talk to my wife. And I walked around to the front of the house, and her 2 brothers and her sister was pulling my child out of my arms.
Listen to me. I'm not getting into that. Were you convicted after a jury trial, or did you plead guilty?
I had hired a lawyer, and it was...
Listen, I asked you one question.
I was convicted of a domestic violence charge. It did not
Just a second.
my wife.
I asked you a simple question, and you're not listening to me, which is the problem that you have. I said, were you convicted after a jury trial, or did you plead guilty? Is that a hard question, Bird?
No.
Were you convicted after a jury trial, or did you plead guilty?
I guess I pled guilty to it.
I guess. Mr. Wilson, this is your problem, sir. You disagreed with the court order. I do, too. But we live in a country that is ruled by law. And while I would have made him take the course all over again, the court gave him a break and said he only had to complete 16 hours of the domestic violence portion of the program. What happened to you after August when you didn't complete the program?
I went back and reported to my probation officer, and there was conflict. Earlier, and the probation officer said that there was obviously a problem between me and Mr. Wilson, but the VA wasn't going to violate my probation again under circumstances. I didn't have the money to enroll into another class to complete the class, so it's actually never been finished.
What a travesty. I mean, it's a joke. You're ordered to complete a program. You don't complete the program. You're given another opportunity, because it doesn't say to complete 16 hours in his program. It says completed the other 16 hours. So in August of 2003, you were given a second chance, or a third chance, to be at liberty. And according to you, since August of 2003, you didn't have the money that was necessary to complete 16 hours of domestic violence classes. Is that what you're telling me?
It was already paid to Mr. Wilson.
I don't care. Are you telling me that you didn't have the money to comply with the court order? Is that what you're telling me?
That's what I'm telling you.
In a year and a half? You're a liar. In any event, you owe him $200. You can't second-guess the court. He would have found himself telephoning his mother once a week from a jail cell if it was up to me, but it's not. It's unfortunate that people laugh at the court system because they don't make orders that they are prepared to stick to. Anyway, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $200. That's all. Out. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He should have followed through with what he was supposed to do.
The program is designed for a spouse batterer, and that's not what I was charged with, the domestic violence.
He was disruptive in my class. He didn't follow the rules.
People are individuals.
He's gone through a lot, and he's up there now.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Diva versus Hess. Step forward.
23-year-old animal caretaker Danielle Deaver is suing former roommate, 26-year-old skateboard rep Todd Hess, for breaking a lease.
Ms. Deaver, the defendant was a roommate, friend of yours. You entered into a lease together to share an apartment, and it is your claim that he moved out without paying move-out fees, which ended up costing you a substantial amount of money, and you want him to pay for half of that. Mr. Hess says you threw him out of the apartment, and he owes you nothing. When did you move in with Miss Deaver?
No, October or November.
Why?
She just moved back into Wisconsin from California, and I wasn't happy with the living arrangements that I was at. So
And you knew each other before?
Yes.
For how long?
About a month and a half.
You knew him for a month and a half before you took him in as a roommate?
Yes.
It's interesting. When did you move out, Mr. Hess?
December?
Why are you asking me? You said December? I don't know.
I believe December.
Is that when he moved out?
It was December.
December what?
The 28th.
Now tell me about December 28th. Under what circumstances did Mr. Hess move out?
I had just gotten back from vacation. We hadn't seen each other for just about a week. Came back, I don't know, started fighting, not sure.
What were you fighting about, Miss Deaver?
No, I don't recall.
Well,
bickering.
now, just a second. So you don't recall what you were fighting about. But Mr. Hess does. Right?
Yeah. Yes.
Try to be a little more assertive. What kind of work do you do?
I am a rep for skateboarding brands, companies.
A what?
Outside rep.
An outside rep. That means you're a salesman.
Yes.
Salesman. Ha-ha! Got to be a little more forceful, Mr. Hess.
All right.
So you remember the 28th? Because you tell me you do. You remember what happened.
Yes, I remember.
So she came back from vacation. She was gone for about a week. Had anything happened prior to her going on vacation?
Well, I found a girlfriend, and we started dating.
This girlfriend right here?
Yes.
Girl with the blue hair? Is that your real hair? What?
My real hair, yeah, not the real color, no.
Even Bird knew that. Okay, so you found a girlfriend before she went away on vacation. That's something had changed. And what happened when she came back from vacation on the 28th of December?
She went out with some friends, went to a bar, I assume, drank, got drunk.
Could you move it forward a little bit?
Got drunk, came home screaming at me about everything, about
Well,
the
tell me
living
what she was
situation.
saying to you, Mr. Hess.
Well, she liked me. More than I wasn't, I guess, it wasn't the smartest thing to do is to move in with someone when, you know, there was attraction. And in early December, you know, I put an end to us hanging out. So it got kind of uncomfortable to live with each other.
Now, good. Now I got the background. You moved in
Okay.
together. She may have had intentions that were different from yours. You're there for a little while. You find a girlfriend, and you are drawn to her instantly. That blue hair was dazzling.
Yes.
She goes away on vacation. She comes home, goes out with some friends, comes back, and she's angry about the girlfriend.
Yeah, but this isn't the first time that her anger has, made living arrangements unbearable. There's been nights where I was in bed sleeping, and she'd be trying to get in my room with a knife through the door handle, screaming, banging on my door in front of her friends, in front of my friends. So on the 28th, when she told me in a drunken rage to leave, she wanted me to move out, I just thought...
What exactly did she say?
She said, "Get out, I want you out of here. Leave, just grab your stuff and leave."
Perfect, and that's what you wanted. And that's what you did.
And that's what I did. I had no place to go.
That's what he says happened, Miss Deaver. He said you came home, you were a little bit high, you got into a battle, you don't remember what it was about, so I have to believe him.
Well, that's what he says, but how could I have paid the rent on the 28th to the manager before 5 o'clock, or just after 5 o'clock when he got home from work, if this happened the 28th at night? He didn't even remember when he moved out. I had written the rent check on the 28th for my half to secure that I would stay there when he told me the 27th he was moving out.
What I'm saying is, he says you told him to leave.
That's not true.
Well, but you say you don't remember.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, sure you did.
You said I didn't.
No. You didn't remember sufficiently to testify. I said, what was the fight about? You said, I don't know. I said, well, he knows. So if you don't know what the fight was about, and he says, I know what the fight was about Miss Lovely, and she told me to get out, then I have to believe him.
Which is not true, because we actually were on a fight, and he said, can you leave me alone? I'm on the phone with my girlfriend. And I said, I didn't even know you had a girlfriend. So this was in the midst of our fight that all of a sudden he was talking on the phone. So the whole girlfriend thing didn't even come up till after we were already arguing.
What were you arguing with him about?
Roommate things, I don't know. I had just gotten home from
Are you still in the apartment?
No. I have the 5-day notice to pay or leave. I had paid my half for the January rent on the 28th, which supposedly the day the fight was, which wasn't true. But I had paid the 28th for my half of
January's rent.
Yes.
So I have to determine whether or not he is required to pay any other rent when the situation in the apartment escalated to the point of, it didn't involve physical violence yet, but it quite well might have had it escalated any further. Somebody was going to call the police if he was screaming and yelling at him or at each other, and I believe him because I have nothing to the contrary. You don't remember what the fight was about, and he says you told him to get out. Sounds right. And if you told him to get out on the 28th, and he did, then he's not responsible for January's rent. Case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused when you step out.
Don't move in with someone you don't know who's been evicted a few times before.
Everybody's seen her get gnarly, crazy all the time about stupid stuff, and I had to live in a basement for a couple months because of her.
If somebody has money and they say they'll pay you later and they don't know you well enough to know you're not going to, it's just what happens.
He was locked in his room, and he was like, yeah, she's coming at my door with a knife, and I'm like, wow, you gotta get out of there.
Now it's over. I don't ever have to deal with him again, so I'm happy.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Nagel versus Goulet, step forward, please.
20-year-old salesperson Michael Nagel is suing his ex-roommate, 18-year-old model Jessica Goulet, for unpaid rent and bills. Jessica is countersuing, claiming Michael sold her stereo and pet bird.
The defendant was a roommate of yours, and it is your claim that she moved out owing you for some rent and bills.
Correct, Your Honor.
Ms. Goulet says that she owes you nothing. As a matter of fact, she says that you have retained her property and sold some of her property, according to her, and that you actually owe her money.
Yes.
Is there a rest of that outfit that you're wearing? When you go to a court, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to cover your belly button. Do you understand?
I do understand that.
Good. But?
I was just going to say that I only have a very limited amount of clothing because all of my other property is at his place.
Well, would you like to borrow her shirt? That would have been more appropriate. Do you understand?
Yes.
You have to know where you're going. You wouldn't go to church in that outfit, would you?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So you know enough to do that?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now, When did she become your roommate and under what circumstances?
October 28th, 2003, Your Honor. The circumstances were, I've known her brother for close to 9 years now. We moved in together. However, his job made him move. So under his advice, I took in his sister and her boyfriend as my new roommates, because without that I would have to cover the rent and bills all by myself.
Okay. They were each going to pay how much? A third of the rent each?
They each were going to pay $225 a month for rent, Your Honor.
And how much was your rent?
$525, Your Honor.
And they did move in on the 28th of October?
Yes, Your Honor.
What happened in November? Did they pay rent?
Yes.
December?
Yes.
January?
No.
What happened in January?
Her check bounced, Your Honor, and I had to cover that, and I've only been reimbursed $150 from that check.
Why did your check bounce in January?
My parents had just moved, and I was taking care of everything on my own. I had just gotten a car and things like that, and I thought I had the money. If I wrote the check, I would be able to put it in the bank and it would clear, but it just...
So she owed you $75 from January?
$113 from January, Your Honor.
Why?
Due to the fact that there was a late fee on this.
I got you. Okay, so that's January. And what happened in February?
I had come back from Nashville, Tennessee on February 3rd, and I had asked her about rent because it was due. I had talked to the landlord, and he had given me an extension to turn it in on the 3rd. So I asked her about rent, and she flatly said, I don't have it. So Is that
right?
Yeah, I told him that I didn't have it, that I would get it to him as soon as I could.
And she didn't, Your Honor.
When did you move out?
I actually moved out. He had kicked my boyfriend out, say January 16th, around that time, and there was a big discussion about that.
Why did you put her boyfriend out?
Because he didn't pay bills, Your Honor.
I didn't agree with it because he wasn't going to give him any time. My boyfriend agreed to give him $600 on that Monday, but he told him no.
Why didn't he pay him when he was supposed to?
Because he wasn't going to get the money until that Monday. He couldn't get the money till then
Your Honor.
because of his work.
So the two of you expected him to cover your bills until you could get your acts together.
He told us that he had an extension on all of that and it was okay. When my boyfriend offered to give him the $600, he said that if he gave him the $600 that he could stay there, no problem. And then he called my brother and my brother told him no, that just kick him out now, don't even take the money. So he just packed up his stuff.
What was the $600 for?
The electricity bill, the phone bill, and the cable bill. He had ran up a large amount on my cable bill by ordering adult entertainment on there, as well as movies. And I have proof of that in my records, Your Honor.
I believe you. Listen, if they had paid their bills, I assume you wouldn't have minded if they stayed.
Right.
Right? Okay, so she owes you for February's rent.
Yes, Your Honor.
You didn't pay February's rent, did you?
I moved out before February 1st.
No, she didn't, Your Honor.
No, you just told me you were there.
I actually was staying there, but during the day I was with my boyfriend. And when I came back to get clothes and stuff like that, because I was staying the night with him, he was like, your check bounced, I need the rent, and you have to get out. You either pay me or you get out. So I told him that I would leave, that I would try to go get the money. When I came back, he said, you can only take your clothing, because I didn't want to stay there anymore, because when he gets pissed off...
See, Your Honor, I gave her a chance to get her clothing, and she refused.
I refused to get my clothes?
Yeah,
That's all I have is my clothes. You have everything else. You have everything else of my belongings.
Miss Goulet, first fix your shirt. Very good. Don't fight with each other. You want to fight with each other, you go outside. You don't come inside.
Sorry.
Okay, $338. $113 for January, that's still due and owing. $225 for February, because you lived there most of the month. If you left to follow your boyfriend, that's your problem. Grow up! You got to grow up! Now, let's talk about her property. You still have her property?
Yes, Your Honor.
What about her bird? She says that you sold her bird.
She left it there, Your Honor. That was her brother. Her brother decided to sell it, not me.
Step up. Tell me your name.
My name's James.
Did you come into possession of her bird?
Yes.
When?
After she left, I had started staying there to help Mike out with his bills and stuff like that, and I sold her bird as well as her stereo. And then she's also countersing.
Why did you do that?
Just, come up with some extra money to help him out.
And also, Your Honor, she had been gone for over a month by that time. She had not called or come by to get her stuff. Therefore, I had no room and nowhere to keep the stuff.
She doesn't have, you don't have to take care of a bird. Well, you want the money for your bird back?
The money for my bird was $500, bird and cage, and plus my stereo was $150.
Your brother sold it.
I know,
You're
but
still in the wrong person. Now, as far as your clothes and other property is concerned, you still have them?
Yeah, she can.
When could she pick them up?
She's picking up right after court, Your Honor.
Terrific.
Now, also, Your Honor, we had a lease agreement when her and her boyfriend moved in that if they did violate the lease, they would be responsible to pay their half of the rent until March.
Where? Show me. They signed it?
Yes, Your Honor, and it's dated also.
Are you still living there?
I actually moved into a different apartment in the same building, Your Honor.
When?
April of this year, Your Honor.
But, Honor, all I'd like to say is I've tried countless times to call him and get a hold of them. My witness has tried calling them. I have tried calling
For what?
them to get a hold of them. So I was going to offer him $500 to pay off the bills so I can get my stuff back. But
He's giving you your stuff back.
I know, but I was going to do this before we even had to go to court. I
Your
didn't
Honor,
want it to go this far.
I have a question, though. If she wants her stuff back and was offering me $500, why is she suing me for $5,000?
Because
she's not going to get 5,000 yen. Do you understand? You're just going to give her back her stuff. And please
All
give
I
her
want
back
is
all
my
of her
stuff. I don't care
shirts.
about the
Yes,
money.
Your
I wanted to have a nice long shirt.
And pants.
Did they give you any deposit when they moved in?
Yes, Your Honor, they did.
How much of a deposit did they give you?
They gave me $250 together. $250 had to go towards some of the bills.
You got a lot of bills. So far, she owes you for January and February's rent.
Correct, Your Honor.
You know, this is not windfall day for you. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $338, and 5 days from today, she will pick up all of her stuff. Thank you very much. That's all.
Why is our excuse when they step out?
Towards the end, I mean, she became a little bit belligerent and wouldn't pay bills, so...
If anyone has a problem with, like, the way people act, it's him because he has, like, an anger management problem.
No, she really liked her bird, but at the same time, I'm pretty busy.
I love my brother dearly and all, but what he did, it hurt.
John and Cynthia Frazee are suing John's former client, Cynthia Booth, and her fiancé, Dwayne Burnley, for posting damaging reviews.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge.
Why are you
Case
coming?
2079, Frazee versus Burley Boot.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Frazee, you are an electrician by trade.
Correct.
And how long have you been in that business, sir?
Since 1986 as a license and 1978 as an electrician.
Now, maybe a decade ago, you're going to give me the exact year, month and year. You were called to do a job for this lady. Your last name is? Booth. Miss Booth. And you did an electrical job for her. We'll go into it more fully in a minute. When you were doing that job, you brought in a helper. This gentleman whose name is Mr. Burnley.
That's correct.
And before you brought in Mr. Burnley, I gather from the papers, Mr. Burnley did not know Miss Booth. Would that be a fair statement?
That's a fair statement, but he did not bring me in. I was actually just driving down the street, and I'm new to the mountain, and I drove by and saw Mr. Frazee there, and I was...
Listen, this is not Gone with the Wind. This is not War and Peace. I asked you a simple question. Before you were brought in on the job,
Okay.
you didn't know Miss Booth.
That's correct.
Right. And that was about 10 years ago.
Correct.
Since that time, since you were brought in on the job, you and Miss Booth have gotten to know each other a lot better.
Correct.
And I assume that by a lot better, that the two of you live together.
Correct.
And you've been living together for how long?
Since November.
Of this last year,
Yes.
November of 2021. But prior to that, you were social friends.
Correct.
And that social friendship started when first introduced to her at this job. It's the first time you met her.
Oh, that's the first time I met her, correct.
Correct. This is your problem, and this is the nature of your lawsuit. You allege that you did a job for Miss Booth almost a decade ago, and you came to ascertain that Miss Booth and or Mr. Burnley had written some negative reviews about your company, currently wrote negative reviews about your company based on work that you did 10 years ago.
Yes.
That's your complaint. And you asked them to take them down. First they did, then they didn't. You found other ones posted in different areas. Now, Mr. Burnley, are you a working man, sir?
Yes.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm an electrical contractor in Big
Okay. Now, at the time that you first met Mr. Frazee, did you have your own company?
Yes.
You had your own company.
Yes.
In what year did you do Miss Booth's job?
I did it on April 30th, 2013, Your Honor.
That's not correct.
That's not correct.
Shh. Month and year, you say you did the job.
The job was done on May 9th of
what?
2013.
Okay, so we're off by a month. Is that right? I don't care. You were talking about 9 years ago.
Correct.
Now, tell me something about the job. What was the nature of the electrical job that you were doing?
An older home needs to have at least a minimum of a 100 amp service Ms. Booth's home had a 70 amp service at the time. She was purchasing it, and that came up on the inspection report to replace that, which I was engaged to do.
So far correct?
No.
Well, now I'll have your version. Did you have to upgrade the electric?
I had to upgrade due to a homeowner's insurance.
Okay,
that's
well,
what they required.
What's the difference in what he said? He said that you had to have your electricity upgraded, and it came up in the inspection report.
It did not come in an inspection report.
Well, then how did they find out? Who found out about
with my policy.
What do you mean you were honest with your policy?
Well, they asked me what year the house was and what amperage it had, and I said 75.
And your insurance company said to you it has to be 110.
100.
Or 100.
Yes.
Before you could move into the house, for one reason or another, you had to upgrade the electric.
Correct.
Okay, and you hired Mr. Frazee to do that.
Yes, they were my friends.
I don't care whether he was your friend or not. If he was your friend and he was a vet, you wouldn't have hired him to do your electrical work.
Of course
He was
not.
your friend and he was an electrical contractor.
Right, correct.
And when he came to your house to look at the job, did he come alone or with a helper?
Alone.
Once you change the ampage in a house, do you have to get somebody from either the county or the city where you live to sign off on it? That's either a yes or a no.
Yes.
And once Mr. Frazee did that, modified the ampage, did you have an inspection?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have that inspection?
Yes.
I'd like to take a look at it.
And the job was not...
I didn't ask you anything.
Okay.
Hold on.
That also includes Mr. Burnley's inspection.
Just a second.
I'm sorry.
Don't volunteer. I'm old. I get confused. I try to keep these things very linear, so even I understand them. This is the inspection sign-off on the work that you did in 2013. Have you seen it? Yes, of course you have.
No.
Well, show it to them. You do remember that you had to have an inspection afterwards.
Of course.
Ms. Booth.
Of course.
Okay, it's just common sense. If you didn't have the work done and you said to your insurance company, I had the work done, the insurance company would say to you, show me proof that you had the work done, otherwise we're not giving you insurance.
Correct.
So you know you had an inspection after he completed the work.
It wasn't after the work.
The work was never...
Shh. I didn't ask you anything.
Okay.
But I will answer for you.
She wasn't...
You can.
Okay.
You can. So the insurance company accepted your word that the work was done?
Yes.
Okay. Can I have that back, please?
And I did tell them I had it signed off, but it was signed off when the job was half done.
That's your problem. You want to sign off when something's half done? Fine. I wouldn't sign off when my hair was half dry. I'm saying...
John and Cynthia Frazee claim John's former client, Cynthia Booth, and her fiancé, Dwayne Burnley, slandered their business. Dwayne is countersuing for filing a wrongful lawsuit.
Now, my next question to you is, after 2013, did you perform electrical work for Miss Booth in her house? That's either a yes or a no.
Yes.
Now I'm going to ask you, what was the nature?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I don't remember.
You mean, just a second, you remember the work that you did when Mr. Frazee was there in 2013, when you were with him, but you don't remember the nature of the work that you did for your girlfriend in 2018?
I'm pretty sure it was a panel upgrade.
Just a second. I want you to think. What kind of work did you do for Miss Booth in 2018?
It must have been the panel upgrade that I did at her house. I changed the 100 amp out to a 200.
Sure, look at me.
Because that would be...
Look at me.
I'm sorry.
So you changed the 100 amp. Shh. This is not my strong suit, and I have to tell you something. Of the 100 million people who are watching this, they're going out to get a cup of coffee right now. You changed the 100 amp that he had done in 2013 to a 200 amp. You upgraded it in 2018.
And put a surge protection system
And
in
a
her
surge
house.
protection.
Yeah, now I do recall.
Great. When was the first negative review that you can show me written about your company? Now we got what's going on. Now I have it clear. Do you have it clear?
I think a little bit more fuzzy than you, but clear enough.
Do you have it clear?
I have it clear now.
You have it clear? Well, just to make it crystal clear, Mr. Frazee did work at Miss Booth's home in 2013. It was electrical work. It was electrical work performed by him with the help of Mr. Burnley, because in order to get a homeowner's policy on her new house, she had to upgrade to satisfy, according to you, only insurance.
Correct.
That's what you say, from 70 to 100 amps.
Yes.
Look, this whole little thing at my age, I'm learning. Now, evidently, they liked what they saw in 2013, and that materialized into a romance. Good for you. And in 2018, I assume he was living there?
No.
When did he move in?
November of.
November.
November of last year.
Yes.
Okay. But you were dating in 2018?
Yes.
Yes. In 2018, Mr. Burnley, not with the help of the plaintiff, replaced and upgraded the 100 amp to 200 amp, which is much better because I know that I have 200. That's, you have to plug things in. It's 110, 220, right?
Yeah.
110, 220. And he put in a surge protector. Now, even I know what a surge protector is. Correct me if I'm mistaken. That means if there's an overload, a lightning strike, whatever it is, it protects it so the whole board doesn't fry and everything turns off, and then you have to replace all the wires go zzz. Am I right? Right. So he upgraded the system and touched of necessity what Mr. Frazee did in 2013. No question, had to do that. Now I'd like to see the negative reviews and when they started.
The first one we found was in 2019, Your Honor.
Well, are these in order? This was...
That's the most current one that was in February of 2022.
Did you write this? Frazee Electric, he was supposed to do a panel change and never put rods in and fried my electronics in my home and garage opener. Left such a mess and never cleans up.
That's correct.
Did you write that?
Yes, I did.
When? In what year?
It's about 3 years ago.
3 years ago, 2018.
Approximately.
About when he changed the electrical
Yes,
system. Just a second. Okay. About when he changed the electrical system. All right, then you wrote something. I will not even write this company 1 star due to the unprofessionalism in completion of work. Hired this electrician to do a 100-watt panel, never grounded, never finished, and left a mess. He's known for not cleaning up. Had to hire another electrical contractor that was most professional. Now, when did you write that review?
About the same time.
2018?
Yes, on a different review.
That was a different one. Mm-hmm. And you said that you had to hire another electrical contractor.
Yes, I
to
did.
Finish the job. And who was that?
That was DMB Electric.
That was him?
Yes, I called
Just a second.
2 competitors.
Just a second. In what year did you call them?
Oh, this was...
No, in what year did you call him?
2013.
After he left, you called them?
I called 2 other contractors.
Just a second. Did you end up using Mr. Burnley?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So back in 2013, you were dissatisfied with this company.
Yes.
Let me follow this. 2013, you were dissatisfied with the company. You called another company.
2 other.
Just a second. You called another company, but the county had signed off on your job.
Yes.
What you say in your answer is that they signed off erroneously on the job. Well,
yes.
I have to take at face value they're signing off that the job was completed. And I assume you got your homeowner's insurance.
Yes, I did.
After he left and after you had the county sign off.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
But they...
Now, just a second. Now, don't tell me a but.
No.
Now, 5 years later, because this was written in 2018.
Correct.
5 years later, you're now dating Mr. Burnley.
Correct.
Who's now living with you.
No.
Who had, well, you say you moved in 2021.
Oh, 21.
Yes.
Yeah, who's now living with you. You began dating in 2018.
That's correct.
And Mr. Burnley, who is now living with you, and in 2018, you woke up one morning and said, who now has his own electrical company, woke up and said, 5 years ago, Mr. Frazee's company and he did not do a professional job in my panel. And now we're dating. And now all these negative reviews come, not in 2013 when we, Sarah, you have Yelp and all those things in 2013?
I'm not sure if I can get back that far, but I could search.
And I wasn't aware of Yelp.
I don't care what you were aware of.
Okay.
You mean you woke up in 2019 and found out that you could give a star or a review? That's the first time you found that out? I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
Well,
I just want to tell you something. I don't believe you. I don't believe that when you want to go to a restaurant, Miss Booth, and it's a new restaurant, you don't take a look on your computer and say, I wonder how many stars it got. I wonder if there are any reviews on this resort.
Yes.
Well, then you were smart enough to do this.
My sons are in IT, so they
I want to tell you something. I don't believe you.
Okay.
Because I'm older than you are. And I know about this, and she can tell you I'm an idiot on the machine.
Well,
I don't buy it. And I don't buy, actually. Yeah, it is.
I can't see any of her reviews.
No.
But there are reviews on Yelp of his business that all are very positive.
I have them if you'd like to see them.
I will look at them.
And I have negative reviews that says the exact same thing what Cindy posted.
Just a second. You don't understand what I'm saying to you, Mr. Burnley. I'm saying to you that it was nasty and malicious, because if she was unhappy with the service, it would have been posted in 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17. And it wasn't until the two of you were hoochie-coochieing that all of a sudden we got negative reviews about a job they did 9 years before. That's ridiculous. It's mean-spirited.
Electrician John Frazee has accused his former client, Cynthia Booth, of posting damaging reviews years after the job was completed.
It's mean-spirited.
That's not correct.
Just a second. You say it's not correct.
Well,
I'm looking at the timeline. I'm looking at an inspector's report.
Right.
Who is a disinterested party, who signed off on an electrical work. I'm listening to Mr. Burnley, who 5 years later did work that replaced his work from 100 amps to 200 amps with a surge protector, and all of a sudden, you start writing negative reviews about their company. That's the timeline. And if you want to try to fill me in and make me feel as if I made a mistake, I'll give you 30 seconds to do it.
Yes, we started seeing each other in 2014. And my sons are in IT administration, and they had told me, Mom, you don't know
don't
about
tell me
Yelp?
what your sons, don't tell me what your sons told me.
I didn't know about Yelp or Google reviews and back at that time, because I'm not computer savvy.
You want to know something? I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I'm almost 80 years old, a lot older than you are. And I know that if I want to look something up, which I do occasionally, I look something up and I say, did so-and-so eat at this fish restaurant? It's a new place, it's a new town. I'm going to go there and take a look at it. I know how to do that. And I'm an idiot, and I'm an idiot. And if you just found it out, if you just found out how to do it, then there was no reason for your first review to be about his company.
No.
About a job that was done.
There's 91 other reviews I've posted.
Just a second. Positive or negative?
Positive.
Are you sleeping with any other electrician?
No, I'm not.
Just a second. That's the end. All those positive reviews that you posted, did any of them have to do with people that you're sleeping with? That's a question.
No,
of course not.
I'm not that kind of girl.
What I'm telling you is the timeline doesn't make sense. These nasty reviews written about a job that started 9 years before, in this case, 6 years before, now that you are sleeping with a head of an electrical company, don't make sense. And my nose tells me if it doesn't make sense, it's not true. Now, when you came back a month later, what else did you do? Didn't clean up a mess. Just a second. Didn't clean up a mess.
Yes, I cleaned up the mess.
You cleaned up what mess?
My mess. He
your
doesn't
mess.
clean up his mess.
Well, you didn't. That's what she told you.
No, I have other reviews of other people on the internet that posted that.
I'm asking you a question. You didn't clean up his mess.
I didn't clean up his mess. I misunderstood you.
Okay, well, that's what I said.
Sorry.
You didn't clean up his mess.
No, I cleaned up his mess.
And didn't write a review.
Well, I didn't know about Yelp.
I'm telling you, you can say it until the cows come home. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. And I don't believe that the first year that you found out to write a review is when you and Mr. Burnley started a relationship. I just don't believe it.
No.
And I think it's mean-spirited. You have to know, Miss Booth, I think it's mean-spirited.
But we were seeing each other in 2014.
You were seeing each other in 2014.
Yes.
You have a company, sir?
Yes, I
do. You have a company?
Yes.
Are you licensed?
Yes.
What's the name of your company?
DMB Electric Inc.
Would you take a look at that, Sarah? Mm-hmm.
It'll be under DMB Electric Services Inc.
And in what year was your company formed?
This one, 2013.
He had a prior one.
I had a prior one.
2013.
Yes, Your Honor.
Was that before or after you did her job? with him? Before
The
or
license-
after?
I had the license before.
No, the company. I said, was the
Yes,
company
the company
formed?
was established.
Careful, because she's a whiz with the computer.
No, that's good.
Was your company formed before?
Yes, Your Honor.
Before you did the job with him?
Yes.
Okay, in what month in 2013?
I don't know.
Are you
what day.
guessing?
Yeah, I'm going
Are
to
you
guess
guessing?
January. Yes.
Was it before or after you did the job with the plaintiff? If you don't know the answer, say, I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Okay, now.
The business was incorporated March 20th of 2013.
Does it have any reviews?
Only 4 from the past 2 years on Yelp, all positive.
By the way, did you ever write a review for him? Did you ever write a review for Mr. Burnley's company? Is not an answer. Did you ever write a review for Mr. Burnley's company? Stop shaking your head, Mr. Burnley. Did you ever write a review for Mr. Burnley's company?
No.
No.
Okay. I don't know what it is that you didn't understand. Sir, you didn't say much. You don't have to say much. I got what went on here, and I think it was mean-spirited, and you're suing for $10,000.
Yes, Your
I
Honor.
think that their reviews and the abuse of the critique of your business warrants the award of $10,000. You have a counterclaim. Which one of you has a counterclaim?
I do.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you something. Your counterclaim's dismissed. I think that you were a co-conspirator in her writing these
I was
reviews.
not.
Counterclaim is dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000. We're finished here. Thank you very much.
Your Honor.
This court
We're
is
done.
adjourned.
During the COVID shutdown, when nobody had any work in a small community of 5,500 people, that's what they chose to do.
Hey, I'm glad it's behind me, man. That's all I can say.
He was just getting his license, and I helped him begin his business, and this is how he serves me.
I agree with the judgment, but why $10,000? That seemed a little high for me.
You can permanently hurt somebody's business, their livelihood, if you write a negative review. Because people more and more rely on the internet when they seek a service, rely on somebody else to say, I've had a good experience or I've had a bad experience. I believe, based upon the timeline that we heard, that the defendants wrote these reviews for a reason other than bad electrical work. Because if there was bad electrical work, that would have shown itself between 2013 and 2018 when her fiance redid the whole system.
Or it wouldn't have passed the inspection.
Or it wouldn't have passed the inspection. So that, to me, is malicious. I think you have to get a real wake-up call. And to me, $500 doesn't do it. It's malicious, and I don't think he has to show any real damages other than the reputation of his business has been sullied by someone for malicious reasons having nothing to do with work that was performed 9 years before. And I'm perfectly comfortable with that judgment.
Won't get one over on us.
No.
Case 2090, Oquendo versus Villarreal. All parties, please step forward.
Amber Oquendo is suing her former tenant, Nancy Villarreal, for unpaid rent.
Ms. Oquendo, you own a home.
Yes.
How large is the home?
It's 4-bedroom, 2-bath, and approximately 1,700 square feet.
When did you purchase the home?
2018.
Can I ask you what the cost was?
$225,000.
And you live there in the house, just you, with whom?
I don't live in that house. That's my rental.
You bought it as a rental? Somebody was playing their music loud. It was a problem for you.
Yes.
You asked them to be quiet.
Yes,
you
Your
told her it was a problem.
Yes.
And then there was some sort of a kerfuffle. I don't know what happened. You want to tell me?
Amber Oquendo claims her former tenant, Nancy Villarreal, owes for unpaid rent. Nancy is countersuing for her security deposit.
Now, you bought it as a rental? You bought it as a business?
Originally, I purchased it and I lived in one room. My kids shared a room and I rented 2 rooms until I was able to establish basically a history of being a landlord. And I then purchased another home and I live in my own residence, and that one is fully a rental as of now.
And also a resident of that home are your parents?
Yes, they are in the master.
And you have another tenant there?
Yes, there are a few other tenants.
Tell me who.
So I have one tenant who has asked not to be identified by name, but he is in one room that I have marked as room number 2. And then I have another tenant who's in room number 3. And then Nancy was in room 4, and there's now a new tenant in that room.
Okay, this is what it's about. The defendant was a tenant of yours. It didn't work out. And it was a short tenancy. I think it lasted no more than a month.
Yeah, right.
Is that right? June of this year?
Yes, Your Honor.
It didn't work out. She left. It is your claim that she left owing you a month's rent. And I assume from your paperwork that the month's rent was $774.
So it was $650, and then the $774, the remaining difference was just for being served and then court costs. But month rent was $650.
$650. And when the defendant moved in the beginning of June, did she sign a lease?
Yes, and I'm just going to correct you. Sorry, she moved in May 7th, so just wanted to correct that. But yes, she did sign a lease.
May I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You have a copy of your lease, Ms. Villarreal?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. So it's a month-to-month tenancy. It's an at-will with 30 days written notice. Okay. According to the lease, there was a security deposit of $650.
Yes, ma'am.
Did the defendant pay that when she moved in?
Yes, she did.
Okay, because that's your counterclaim. You say you want your security deposit back.
Yes, ma'am.
I assume from reading both of your complaint and answer that this turned out to be not a happy tenancy. You don't live there on a full-time basis. The defendant did live there for a short period of time. You moved in, rented a room, and you gave her $650, and you moved in on May 7th.
Yes, Your Honor.
Correct. And you moved out on what date?
I moved out on July the 10th.
So you were there for 2 months?
No, I was there for 1 month.
May to June, June, July. May 7th.
I moved in I believe it was June because I moved out July the 7th.
Our lease was signed on May 7th, so I know that.
Yes, the term of the lease is beginning May 7th. That's the term of the lease, according to this. So I don't care when you moved in.
Okay.
The term of the lease was May 7th on a month-to-month basis. So you were there from May 7th to July 10th. So you were there for 2 months.
Okay.
We're going to get into the whys, wherefores in a moment, but did you pay the month of May?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you pay the month of
Yes,
May?
ma'am.
Good. Did you pay the month of June?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. And you lived there until July 7th?
No, I actually lived there until...
You just told me July 10th, as a matter of fact. Whitney's going to tell me what date you gave as your move-out date. You said it was July 10th.
She said, I moved out on July the 10th.
Okay, July, and it was, yes. July
So you
10th.
were there for 2 months?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, if you were there for 2 months and you only paid 1 month's rent.
Yes.
So far, you owe her 1 month's rent. Did you return her security deposit?
Yes.
Did you receive your security deposit?
Yes, Your Honor.
How much?
$650.
Okay, so you have no counterclaim. The counterclaim is for your security deposit. The rest of it is nonsense. You moved out, you wanted to pay your moving costs, your hotel fees, and everything else. That's ridiculous. Okay. So if you've received your security deposit now, what you owe her is a month's rent, which is $650. And I know you're dying to tell me that there was noise there, that you couldn't live there, that it was terrible. Well, that's what happens when you live in a place with a whole bunch of other people. Did you look at this room before you moved in?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Okay, so you went to the house.
Mm-hmm.
When you went to see the house, Amber was there.
Mm-hmm.
She introduced herself as the landlord. That's
Yes.
what it says here.
Yes.
And she let you know that she wasn't in the house, that her parents were in
Right.
the house as tenants, but she wasn't in the house.
Yes.
And you moved in and somebody was making noise. Somebody was playing their music loud.
Mm-hmm.
It was a problem for you.
Yes.
You asked them to be quiet.
Yes,
You
Your
told her it was a problem.
Yes.
And then there was some sort of a kerfuffle. I don't know what happened. You want to tell me?
Yes, Your Honor. I am a federal employee, Your Honor. And when I signed this lease back in May, it states there, and I'm also in recovery, Your Honor, and it states very clearly in the lease that there is absolutely no smoking on the premises or no drugs on the premises, Your Honor. There was absolutely marijuana being smoked in the house. And right after I brought that to her attention, I then received a 30-day termination notice.
Okay.
Because I absolutely could not live in that house anymore with my job. I felt it was not a safe place for me.
Where did you go?
Where
Just
did
a
I
second.
go?
Just a second. Is that your son?
This is my son.
Okay. Does he live in the area? I know you called him and he came and helped you move.
Yes,
correct?
ma'am.
Who does he live with?
My son? He rents a room with roommates.
So he has roommates?
Yes.
Tell me where you went when you left. You didn't get a 3-day notice to quit. You got a 30-day notice from her that she was not renewing the lease pursuant to this.
Right.
You chose to leave in 3 days.
Absolutely.
That was your choice.
Because
you had 30 days to stay, and you had a month-to-month tenancy. Okay, you chose to leave. So where did you go?
I got a U-Haul. I didn't really have a place at the time to go, but my boy's grandmother offered her place to me. So I stayed there for a couple weeks. She said, you pay $180. I'll let you stay here for a couple weeks until I was able to find another place, Your Honor.
And then you did?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Great. Okay. So the security deposit you have, and she doesn't have her month's rent, which is $650. Are we done here? Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $650. We're finished. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I am not aware of anyone using marijuana in my house.
There was marijuana being smoked in the house.
My dad says that he's not smelling it, so I guess I can't really attest to the legitimacy of that.
It was not a safe place for me to be.
You know, some people don't realize, Sarah, that if you leave a premises that you have lived in, it's like going to a restaurant and ordering a steak and then delivering the steak, you're taking a bite and say, you know, I really don't like that steak, and finishing it, and then telling the waiter you're not going to pay for the steak. I always say you ate the steak. If you're a tenant and you find the living conditions such that, you know, you find it untenable to live there, you have a prerogative of changing your residence, but you don't live there for 2 months and only pay for 1, and then make excuses because you ate the steak.
Case 2067, Garcia versus Taryn. All parties, please step forward.
Amari Garcia is suing fellow motorist April Taryn for damages from a motorcycle accident.
This is a case that's about an automobile-motorcycle collision. Each one of you claims that the other is responsible for the collision. Miss Garcia, you were riding the motorcycle?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were in your car?
Yes.
Okay. And this happened on what date?
March 21st, 2022, around 3 p.m.
In what state?
California.
In the state of California, are you required to have insurance on a motorcycle?
Yes, Your Honor.
Just liability?
Liability if it's paid for in full, correct. Yes, Your Honor.
And were you insured on that date?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you were driving a car?
Yes.
And was your car insured on March 21st, 2022?
Not at the time.
So the answer is no?
No.
Did you have a valid driver's license on March 21st, 2022?
Yes.
From what state?
California.
What kind of car were you driving?
A 2011 Nissan Sentra.
Was it a new car for you, or did you have it for a while?
It's a new car. I purchased it 3 weeks prior to the incident.
And if you bought it 3 weeks before, how come you didn't have liability insurance?
I was looking for insurance, and plus, at the time, I hadn't received my paperwork. It was still in the other person's name at the used car dealership that I bought it from. Your Honor,
You know you're not supposed to be driving a car, Miss Taryn, without insurance.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Okay. You wanted to say something?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. I have proof that April Taryn purchased her vehicle February 8th, 2022. She drove uninsured for 41 days, and it was not from a lot. It was from someone off the street. I have the proof for that.
I'd like to see it.
Yes. Oh, thank you. For $2,050.
Well, this car that you registered, the selling price was $2,050, according to this.
No, it wasn't. And
well, I'm going to show you vehicle and transfer law. This is 2011 Sentra, and it was signed, but it's LLC. That's his company.
Okay.
So it wasn't off the street, but it said the selling price was $2,000. That's what this says.
I don't have my paperwork in my car.
I want to show this to her. I just want to get some basic facts first, and then I'm going to go to the incident.
But that's and
no, the person, the seller.
And you know, I have my paperwork in my car.
Yeah, but you understand that.
I understand what you said because it's right there. Yes.
Okay, we have a diagram. This happened on March 21st, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You had no insurance, and you were traveling in the bike lane.
No, that is not true. I shared the lane of the car on the right. I would never go into a bike lane. That is disrespectful to the road and riders.
Just a second. Are you allowed to share a lane with a car and a motorcycle?
That is your right, yes.
I know Foothill. Is that where you were?
Yes, Your Honor.
And at a certain time during the day, Foothill becomes very trafficked.
Yes.
And the cars sometimes get stopped because there's a light, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go over to there, Miss Garcia, and show me, please, where you were positioned before you say that you were traveling in the same lane as a car.
Your Honor, I was directly behind this car.
Okay.
Directly behind.
You were directly behind that car.
Yes.
And that car was stopped.
They were slowing to a stop.
No, they were stopped because they had to have been stopped because that's why you went around him.
They were slowing to a stop. By the time I got around here, they were stopped. I didn't want to veer into here. I was slowing down. I was around 25 miles per hour. This lane at the time was too close. So I shared this lane on this side.
Miss Garcia, I got it, Miss Garcia. You want me to appreciate the fact that you wanted to get around the stopped car and you wanted to continue to go straight, correct? You weren't turning. You wanted to go straight.
I was going straight, correct.
And so you want me to picture in this tiny mind of mine that instead of going into a perfectly clear bike lane, you inched your way at 25 miles an hour in the same lane as a stopped car.
Yes.
But
this diagram,
you know, I find that hard to believe, Miss Garcia.
Your
I
Honor,
really find that hard to believe. You may be in the right with regard to this, but I find it hard to believe.
The roads are very wide. I have the actual police photo document of that.
I'd like to see it.
Yes, Your Honor. Right here.
And I'd like to see the police report as well. Is there a police report?
It's attached to this.
Fine. Because as you were traveling straight, the defendant was making a left turn. She was making a left turn because the two cars there were stopped, and those were the only two traffic lanes there. Now, I don't know whether she could see whether it's a motorcycle or a bicycle traveling in the bike lane, but what happened was she was making a left turn. According to this, you went into her passenger side. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So where is the motorcycle now?
I no longer have it. The towing company, they sold it.
What are you driving around in now?
1995 Chevy Baville.
Atta girl!
Amari Garcia is accusing fellow motorist April Taryn of damaging her motorcycle. April claims Amari was illegally driving in the bike lane.
Who was in the car with you, Miss Taryn?
My son and his girlfriend.
One of them had an injury.
Yes. My son's girlfriend, she was in the driver's passenger side. And while I was turning into the lane, I just felt a crash and saw glass going into my car. And then she was cut.
Okay. And you had an injury to your knee?
Yes, I have several injuries. And I have photos as well.
You understand, Miss Taryn, that the police interviewed witnesses. The witnesses were in the stopped cars.
Yes.
And at the end of all of their interviewing process, they determined that you were the cause of the collision. That's what it says.
And I don't...
It says that you caused the collision by violating Vehicle and Traffic Law 21-8001, failure to yield when making a left turn. I determined the cause based upon the parties involved and the physical evidence. That's what the police determined. Okay, well, then that's an easy, based upon the police report, because each of you were going to tell two different stories about what happened that day. Police were there, they looked at the physical evidence, they looked at the injuries, they looked at the damage to the roadway, they interviewed independent witnesses, and that was their determination.
I understand, Judge, but the police report had some inconsistencies where, like, she was driving in the bicycle lane, which is against the law. And what I was doing, I was making the left turn, as you know. And these two front cars, which one of them was a witness.
Yes, that car paused to let you make a left turn.
Yes, both lanes. And I was...
No, you said both lanes.
Both lanes paused.
Well, that's what you say.
Yes.
That's what you say. That's not what this says.
See, but they both did. And as I was...
But I'm just telling you.
No, I know.
Yeah,
that's what
I'm just telling you. That's not what this is. That's what you say. There was nothing that prevented those two cars from going.
Exactly.
There wasn't a traffic light. There wasn't a stoplight at that spot.
Yes.
And there was heavy traffic.
Yes.
So it's your responsibility to make sure if you're making a left turn that you have to yield to all oncoming traffic. And so the fact that you didn't see her is really not relevant. And as long as you understand that this police report supports Miss Garcia's claim that you caused this accident by making a left turn, when you shouldn't have been making a left turn. That's what this says. And that, at the end of the day, it's an accident. That's why it's not called an on purpose. It's called an accident. Neither one of you anticipated it. As far as I'm concerned, Ms. Carcer, you're entitled to be compensated, but I'm going to suggest this to you. If I'm driving a motorcycle, which I would never do, just for me, I think it's wacky. I think there are enough crazy people driving around that I like about 2,000 pounds of steel around me, so that if somebody who is not paying attention and there's an accident, I like to be safe. My first car, when I was 17, all my friends were getting these cute little cars, that were convertibles, and my father bought me a 15-year-old blue and white Cadillac sedan. It was so embarrassing to drive around in that car. It was a boat. Oh, come on. Everybody else is getting these cute little Corvettes, even if they're used ones. And my father, who loved me a lot, said to me, sweetheart, if you get into the accident, I want you to come out unscathed. And this ensures that you got a shot if you get into an accident. And I feel better. So I'm just telling you, if you're going to drive a motorcycle, don't take shortcuts. I know this place on Foothill, and I know what happened here. You wanted to go, there was no reason why you couldn't. That's why you drive a motorcycle, because you can get into tight places. But you look like an intelligent young woman.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Don't take chances. That was a chance. It could have been a lot worse. What was the damage to your motorcycle?
I have pictures. Would you like to see them, Your Honor?
I would.
I did look it up. Lane splitting motorcycles is legal in California, based on the California Highway Patrol.
Okay, no, I see the pictures. So where is the motorcycle now?
I no longer have it. The towing company, they sold it. They sold it for $70 they claim, and I got hit with collections afterwards. I have the bill for that if you'd like to see that.
How much did you pay for it?
$6,407.
Do you have the bill?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
For my motorcycle, what I paid for, correct?
Yes, what you paid for it. What are you driving around in now?
A 1995 Chevy Baville.
Atta girl! Atta girl. Okay. I'm giving you the value of the motorcycle.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Which is $6,407. I'm not splitting whose fault this was, actually, but I'm not awarding you any punitive damages for her. She had injuries in her car. You were slightly injured, but both of you seem fine now. I don't think that you were careful enough when you were going straight and around that car that was stopped. But the defendant didn't have insurance, and she was cited by the police for violation of a traffic law. So I'm giving you the cost of your motorcycle.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Judgment for the plaintiff.
This court is adjourned.
So I actually ended up, after the car had made impact with me, the bike went that way. I went up into the air.
It was really frightening.
I hit the ground. I hit on my elbow.
I've never experienced that before.
I was really scared. I thought, oh, this is it. My legs are out.
And like I said, I was being cautious, and
thankfully I wasn't.
But it ended up in that kind of situation.
Definitely more safely as far as better gear, and like she said, don't take a shortcut or anything of that sort.
So I looked up lane splitting, and in California, it's one of the few states that allows it for motorcyclists. It does say inexperienced riders shouldn't attempt it because, like we see, it's very easy to get hit or for someone not to see you if you're splitting between lanes, but it is legal, so she wasn't in the wrong by lane splitting, but I think it was a sticky situation. You're behind a car, someone's turning.
What does it say if you're injured?
It does say on the Highway Patrol website that you're splitting at your own risk, so any injuries that happen are at your own risk.
So they say if you are lane splitting, it's not illegal, but if you have injuries as a result of an accident, if you're lane splitting, you're responsible for your own injuries.
It doesn't say it in a legal term that I could really stick to, but it says it's risky. We're acknowledging that it's risky. You have to assume the risk of lane splitting if that's what you...
Bravo, kasi lang. Ang balita pag sete.
10 game. Allah. Level kira absu ali the level 2 absu open tap to open start search claim all not now cancel you 33,000 हाँ play play ini ngomong